Hey, good evening, everybody. Steelers Podcast presented by DEK Roofing Incorporated of South Florida. We are very, very pleased to be part of the Variety Sports Network. And, of course, the show originates from the Bradshaw Bourbon Studio. Cheers, everyone, as we open up our coverage for draft night number 2. As I go live here this evening, the Steelers are about 8 to 10 picks away here, I think, if I'm looking at this right. I come on with a bit of sadness simply because Jackson Powers Johnson was just drafted by the Las Vegas Raiders. And so now I really honestly I think that puts the Steelers in a bit of an interesting situation now because there are still centers left. Zach Frazier out of West Virginia. I really like him. I like Cedric Van Pran of Georgia. You got Tanner Bertolini out of Wisconsin too. There's also a kid, McCormick out of South Dakota State, who has the potential to play center and was a really good guard in college. And so I don't know. I trust that the Steelers have a plan. My gut feeling all along was that they were probably going to go wide receiver in this round. It started out a wide receiver round, first few picks, and then it kind of went to cornerbacks, and now we've seen the first center taken, and Edgerrin Cooper, linebacker out of Texas A&M, just went to the Packers. So it's interesting. I'll stick to my guns. I'll say that the Steelers are probably still going to go wide receiver here. There's obviously a bunch of very good ones left. Ladd McConkey's already gone. Jalen Polk, kid from Washington, went, and so we'll just kind of see as it goes. Hello, Jen. How are you? And welcome everybody in that's checking it out. The mighty Clifford has jumped in, and if you're wondering why I'm by myself, keep in mind that we normally do this show about 10 p.m. Eastern, and that means 7 p.m. out on the left coast. And Ben is just getting out of work, so he is hopefully on his way home and will jump on as soon as he can. Ian, of course, is waiting for all 12 of his children to fall asleep, and then I think he'll jump on. And Scarps, Scarps is probably still passed out at his computer between the tacachinos or wherever the hell he drinks and the effort he put in on another superb Casey Kasem last night. His brain may be overloaded. But anyway, I will eventually be joined by them, and you will not have to listen to my Seth Rogen-ish voice much longer all by itself. Aaron, our main guy, our graphics guru, is live on the scene in downtown Detroit right now. I believe he is there with his oldest son. They are having a great time. I thoroughly enjoyed watching the University of Michigan's national championship football team walk down to open the second and third round, knowing that Aaron must have been extremely excited, or maybe not. I don't know. The other fellers were pretty sauced last night. Yes, everybody gets pretty sauced on this program. We think of it this way, Clifford. We are just 4 dudes that would probably be sitting at your local bar. We like to think we're pretty wise. We've definitely got opinions. We've all got connections that we're fortunate enough to have in the industry and the Steelers, and so it's a great show. We love doing this, and I see no reason to stop doing it. It looks like the Panthers are on the clock. I think that's correct. I think they moved up, and they have taken they took Brooks, the running back, out of Texas. That is interesting, and he becomes I believe the first running back taken. What do you got? Will Shipley out of Clemson, and a few others. And So Aaron asked, let's get to the draft talk. Zach Frazier, Mike Sanders, the defensive back out of Michigan. It could be Aaron. It could be Sanders still. I just have this feeling that the Steelers are not valuing the center spot the way most of us are. And I say that not because they've got Nate Herbig. I think Nate Herbig is a really good guard. and I think he's a serviceable center, but I do not want him, and I don't think anybody should want him as the starting long-term center there. Um, they also have, of course, the option of James Daniels doing this. He's got experience both in college and a little bit with the Bears before he came over to the Steelers. So I just get that feeling. So I'm going to go with my gut. I'm going to say it's going to be wide receiver. And Aaron, you're absolutely right about this run on corners has worried me a little bit. I think we're okay on the edges right now because you've obviously got Joey Porter Jr. and then they picked up Donta Jackson in the trade for Deontay Johnson. So I think they're okay right now, but they've got to find a guy in a slot. We haven't had a great guy there really since Mike Hilton left. Arthur Millette at times flashed, but just wasn't consistent enough. Sanders still is a little bit older. I'll be honest with you though, the thing I like about him is he's a former receiver and he's got tremendous ball skills and he's aggressive. He is completely willing to stick his nose in just about anywhere. And that's what I like about him. So it's been interesting. I didn't see like Kwame Lassiter. I didn't see him going as soon as he did. And obviously Dejean, I'm not sure how he pronounces that. He's finally off the board. But there's been some interesting second round picks so far. So, and I keep glancing to my right because this is where I've got my phone here ticking down the picks and stuff. So, Newbin to the Giants. Newbin, that a safety out of Minnesota. Wow. Man, I did not see that one coming either. I'll take your word for it, Aaron. You're live on the scene. Yeah, and again, I think if you take the Raiders selection of Jackson Powers Johnson out of the equation, the board is looking pretty good again, like it did last night. And I hope all of you have had an opportunity to kind of digest now that the Steelers have had 24 hours with Troy Fautanu. And I admit I watched some tape of him really, really early in the process, and I liked what I saw, but I was really kind of going based on that formula that the Steelers have used for so many years where they typically take a guy that they go to the pro day, they have for a visit, there's just all these little benchmarks, and he didn't really meet many of those. So I kind of gave up on him a little bit. And that's why I was caught a little off guard. Now that said, I still love the pick. You're getting a great football player. You're getting a guy with tremendous feet who, if you read any of the articles today, not just, of course, at steelcityblitz.com, shameless plug, but also at The Athletic and ESPN and a few others, they talked about the fact that he is literally going to be able to play anywhere on the line. There's guys that think he can play center. There's guys that know he can play guard. And as Mike Tomlin did reiterate last night, they plan to keep him outside. The question is, keep him at left tackle and keep Broderick Jones on the right, or do you move Jones left? You'd think Jones would be on the natural left, but who's to say? We're not around these young men every single day. Mike Tomlin is. Let's see here. Aaron, you're going to have to keep me updated, buddy, because you're in real time and I am not. So if you have the opportunity, you can post a pick there. Jags taking your third round pick in the second. Cincy going to find a way to take AD Mitchell. Yeah, Clifford, you're not wrong. Cincy always does that. They constantly like to clip us on these picks. Oh man, he went way sooner than I thought. Mason Smith, I had as a third rounder. He is a guy, if you don't know much about Mason Smith out of LSU, defensive lineman. Oh man, he is big and he is long and he has a tremendously high ceiling. He does have a knee injury. He came off, and he really, to most people, he never really got to where they thought he would be throughout 2023, but they figured he was really improving, and with some more games probably would have gotten there. But man, I really liked him. He reminded me of a guy with the same name, Aaron Smith, a little bit, just in terms of his length. And Aaron had that length, and I had high hopes that we were going to be able to grab him. But it's fascinating because already this draft is proving that a lot of people that were thought to be third round guys are, they're already in the second round. And I agree about Gabe Hall. I think he's a definite option, and I know they looked at him. And I know from Ian's spreadsheet, he's got all the deets on Hall and stuff as well. So once he gets up and pulls that up, we'll check that out. But I'm really surprised at some of these last few picks. I mean, Brooks, the running back, and to the Panthers, and now to the credit of the Panthers, they are addressing their areas of need because they've got to build around Bryce Young. When you invest what they did into a first round draft pick, you got to build around them, and that's what they're doing. I just thought it would be a little more offensive line, wide receiver, tight end type stuff rather than running back. But the Minnesota safety going to the Giants, Newman, kid from Minnesota, good player, really good player. I assumed he was probably going to be late second, early third. And so, some of these surprises continue. But what do we got here? Got obviously the Jags and then the Bengals. Was anybody able to pick up on the video of what Falcons owner Arthur Blank was saying to his general manager in that video last night? Because I'm willing to bet it wasn't real good. And it probably went along the lines of, what in the hell did you just do? My understanding is that Kirk Cousins is kind of, come down off the edge of the building now and is better. And he's had a conversation with Michael Penix Jr., but I don't even think really that's the issue. And if I were Kirk Cousins, I wouldn't have even been all that offended by it, simply because I know I'm getting guaranteed money, a ton of guaranteed money. But I get it. Kirk's a competitor, and wants to play, and it'll probably just make him want to be that much better. But that video was very funny, and I don't know if you guys have noticed, but these candid shots, these videos of a lot of these draft picks in their homes and in these places where they're having their draft parties. Some of the faces of people is just hilarious. Brock Bowers' dad last night look when he saw his son was going to Vegas, he looked like he just was about ready to storm out of the room. Incredible. Aaron, our man on the scene in downtown Detroit, reports that the Bengals have just drafted Michigan defensive lineman Chris Jenkins. Again, another guy I think would have fit very nicely with us. But Cincinnati, what can I tell you? They do it. And I'm not saying that's who we were going to take anyway. But look, we are 2 off now. You got the Commanders coming up next, and then it's us. And I'm going to suggest I think it's going to be wide receiver or corner. And despite my own personal thinking that it should be a center, but that's why I'm here. And there's people making a lot more money than I am in Pittsburgh right now. Yes, Ian, I am the loneliest podcaster right now. Would you please get your 62 children to bed? I'm going to be drunk in 5 minutes because I keep sipping whiskey to keep the mouth satiated here. So, yeah. Anyway, so and hopefully Ben will arrive as well. But anyway, again, thanks everybody for being here tonight. Thanks everybody for coming last night. We were on for 2.5 hours. My rear end still hurts. I feel like I haven't even gotten out of the seat in the last 24 hours. But I always remain thoroughly amazed at the fact that people actually want to listen to me. Listen to us, more importantly. So thank you guys all. We love it. We have some awesome regulars, and we always love having new people come in. Make sure you subscribe on the YouTube page. We are getting much closer now to that all important 500 mark, where you can really start getting into some new features and all that stuff too. So yes, Ian, my voice is extremely soothing. I don't think I'm as talented as Scarps is with the voices, but I do a few voices. Let me know if you need any of those, and I'll help scare your kids and keep them awake all night. Any case, Aaron, can you tell us where you are in conjunction to the stage? Obviously, they had 275,000 people in downtown Detroit last night. Gosh damn it. The Commanders have just taken Mike Sanderstill. Okay, so there goes that. That was the cornerback that I wanted. Anyway, Aaron, whereabouts are you? How far from the stage there? And they said they think another 175,000 in there tonight as well. So kudos to Detroit. They're doing a nice job, but man, Sanders still going to the Commanders. That hurts. I kind of thought he was a guy. I'm curious to see if Tomlin or Khan will mention anything of where they had him, but they usually keep those things close to the vest as they go through. But either way, the Pittsburgh Steelers are now on the clock for their selection here in round 2. And don't forget, the Steelers have 2 selections in round 3 tonight. I wondered, I'll be honest, I wondered a little bit if the Steelers wouldn't maybe package one of those third rounders to move up in the second round to grab somebody, but they definitely chose to stand pat. And, we'll see what that brings them. So, here we go, and again, our man in the field there, Aaron, getting ready to give us the live report. Again, I'm gonna go. I'm definitely going wide receiver now. I think they'll find somebody there. Although Pearsall, Leggett, both going at the end of the first round last night was absolutely stunning. So Aaron tells us he is about 40, I'm going to assume, 40 yards back, which is pretty good. He says he's not going to spoil the Steelers pick. That's mighty nice of you, Aaron, because everybody else will know while I'm doing this, but he will not spoil it. I appreciate it. Let us all react in real time. Although if I see like some kind of explosion outside the tent there, I'll know it's not a good thing, because Aaron will go nuts. In any case, Andrew, good to see you back again tonight. And again, thanks everybody for being here. This is, oh man, this really is like waiting for your kid to be born, even though it's the second round. It still gets you. At least it does me. I mean, these are guys we root for. It doesn't matter who it is. It can be a guy from your most hated team. But I look at Cam Hayward, an Ohio State Buckeye, and I've loved the guy ever since he became a Pittsburgh Steeler. And yet here we are, and who knows what they're going to do here. But I'm just fascinated by it, because I am really curious to see how they value the center position. And if they don't go here right now with Zach Frazier, then I'll be real curious. Let's just put it that way. Thanks, Andrew, for listening for a long time. Yeah, we like to have some fun on here. We probably get carried away at times. Well, no, there's no probably about it. We definitely get carried away at times. But that's kind of the beauty of it. And as Ryan Scarpino tells me all the time, this is literally his weekly therapy, and he doesn't have to be charged a large amount of money for it. So I'm thinking of getting my therapist license, just so I can, start getting paid to do this. Anyway, Aaron must be dying because by now the Steelers have had to have selected. I'm sure the beats are all over it on social media right now, but I'm not looking. I refuse to look. I'm not looking. I'm not looking. Not looking. Not looking. Aaron has a thumbs up, which means the pick must be in. If they picked Kenny Pickett again, I'm going to die. No, I'm kidding. We beat that one like a dead horse last night. Leaked on Twitter, and Ian McMeans loves it. Claude Bishop says we got our guy. It's got to be Zach Frazier. Western PA is going to go nuts if that's who it is. Absolutely nuts. The guy finished a play on a broken leg. He's all Pittsburgh. He's got to be the guy. Or maybe it's not. Thumbs up is good, right? I would think so. My God, ESPN, could you be any slower? Waiting. Claude, in A+ draft so far, Claude. That is high praise, my man. High praise. Holy cow. Yeah, it's Steel Dad is currently stag at the moment, Wayne, and thank you for joining us, buddy. I'm just waiting for Ian Tyreek McMeans to get his kids to sleep so he can join me. And it is, in fact, Zach Frazier, the center out of West Virginia. And holy crap, you want to talk about two really, really cool stories. You've got Troy Fautanu last night, a guy that grew up idolizing Troy Polamalu, a fellow Polynesian player like himself, with 43 tattooed on him, and a lifelong Pittsburgh Steelers fan, getting a call that he's going to play for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And now you get Zach Frazier, who's from less than 90 miles away from Pittsburgh there. And it makes me feel good because it tells me that the Steelers really, truly did value the center position. And it's not that I thought they didn't. It's just that I wasn't sure how much they were valuing it. And I would also love to be a fly on the wall in that room right now, because I would have really loved to know if JPJ had fallen there instead of being drafted by the Raiders. Would he have been the guy? Not that it matters, but I'm the type that likes the answers to those questions. But either way, I agree right now, Claude. Right now, this is an excellent draft. And Steel Son is texting me with reaction. He says he's good with it, and that's all we can ask. That's all we can ask. If your children are happy with the Steelers draft pick, then that's all you can ask. John jumps in the show. Hey, John, welcome aboard. And AD Mitchell to the Colts, and he's a guy. Obviously tremendously talented, and I think the Steelers probably would have liked him a lot. And I found this to be really sad. If you don't know this, he's a type 1 diabetic, and one of the reports that came back on him was that when he has problems with his blood sugar, he becomes literally a different human being, and just really gets difficult to deal with, and makes a lot of really poor choices and things. And I can't imagine what that's like, because it's got to be really rough on that young man. So I hope that the NFL, with the absolute limitless medical teams, and limitless research can help him out with that. And so hopefully he has a good career in Indy, except when, of course, he plays the Colts, plays the Steelers. So yeah, I'm thrilled with this. No, John says no way our draft is going this way. Yeah, it is, man. It is. And so if you look ahead, and I'm jumping way ahead, and I'm sure I'm probably stealing a lot of Ian's thunder. And by the way, Scarps did just comment in our private chat that the Steelers are likely to run the ball 600 times this coming year. Hey, you know what? I'm fine with that. If it's 5 yards a crack, so be it. I'll take it. If Russell Wilson just turns and hands the ball off every single time, love it. Great with it. Rattel 10 jumping on the show. I can run behind this line. Yeah, I think we all can, man. This is going to be good. And I'll say this. I think the pressure now moves to not Arthur Smith. I think it moves to Pat Meyer. Pat Meyer did a very nice job in taking over after Adrian Clem left. And that first year was good. Last year, I don't know. Last year, it seemed like they struggled. And it got better as the year went on. But now the pressure's on him. He's going to have, if you think about this for a minute, let's look at the Pittsburgh Steelers offensive line for a second. You're going to have Roderick Jones and you're going to have Troy Fautanu. And those are 2 first-round draft picks. You're also going to have a mid-second round center, and you're going to have James Daniels and Isaac Seumalo, both well-respected and very, very good players. There is no reason that this offensive line should not be one of the top offensive line units. Okay. Now I know that's a little hyperbole, but if they're not top 10, there's a problem. They're going to have to get that to really make Pat Meyer, I think, look good. And I'm not saying he can't do it. I think he can. But my gosh, they have built this line, and don't forget Andy Weidel, who came over when Omar Khan got the job. There's no question he has a huge hand in this. He was a big part of building the Philadelphia Eagles Super Bowl team. And he built it exactly this way: offensive line, defensive line. And I think he has a tremendous hand in what's going on here last night and tonight, even last year. And I love it. You have to build there first. I don't care what kind of skill players you got at quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end. If you don't have people that can block, and if you don't have people that can disrupt the opposing offense, then it doesn't matter. But yeah. Darnell Washington, a third offensive tackle. Yeah, in many ways he is, Clifford. In many ways he is. Ben has screamed that for the last 2 years, making that kid a tackle. But Clifford, by the way, interesting proposition. Trade up for Roman Wilson. I like Wilson a lot. I love him as a slot guy. The quicks he has are unbelievable. He's a great route runner. He's very durable, tough kid. The problem is I don't know that he plays on the outside at all. I don't know that he can in the NFL, is what I should say. So I'm curious. I mean, believe me, I wouldn't hate it at all. We really, truly do need a slot guy. I mean, Juju had a really nice run there for a little while. And we need a guy that's got that ability to open up the middle of the field, run the crossers, find the areas in the zones. And I really hope that if the wide receiver is the guy, I wouldn't hate it. Let's put it that way. I wouldn't pet it that at all. So let's see. We have the Washington Commanders back on the clock, and our man in the field, Aaron Gilbert, says they go with Kansas State tight end Ben Sinnott. He is a guy that has risen up draft boards significantly in the last few weeks. As most of you know, this draft tight end wise was pretty much one guy, Brock Bowers, and then it was just a bunch of other guys. But Sanat was one of those that has really climbed up. I like this tight end class, to be honest with you. It's bottom heavy, and there's a lot of really nice blockers and some guys with some potential as receivers. And I think Sanat might be, one of those guys. Rattel 10, Luke McCaffrey, probably the best route runner. And the Steelers need a guy who can run routes. And so I wouldn't hate that at all. He did spend some time with the Steelers. So, yeah, I can see that. And thank God Ben's here. I'm dying.
Just me?
Good evening. It's just you for now. Thank God. It's been 31 minutes of me talking nonstop. These people are ready to meet me. I needed somebody else. So thank God you're here.
Huh.
Have you been able to? Did you see what the Steelers did?
Zach Frazier?
Yes. They went with Zach Frazier.
JPJ was gone to the Raiders.
Went to the Raiders, and my question, of course, was, will we find out at all from Omar or Mike as to whether or not they were going to take JPJ and then kind of settled for Frazier?
We're never going to hear that.
I don't think we will either, but I'd be curious.
What we should have done today, if we were smart, would be to invite some listeners on the show. Give their opinion of the pick. I think we missed an opportunity.
Well, see, I don't, because some of these people scare the hell out of me. And I don't know that I want some of these individuals.
Well, Johnny and Dan are pretty fucking weird, so I agree with you on that point.
Yeah. But Noah says he wants the Browns to take a long snapper. Well, hey, Noah, I know a team that once drafted a long snapper. So in any case, a great 31 minutes, says Rattel. Thank you. You made my day, man. We did a great job. We did. You guys have been awesome. Aaron is on the scene, by the way, Ben. He's in Detroit.
Give me 1 second.
Yeah, you're fine. Go
Aaron,
ahead.
Is he in the chat? Is he watching or no?
He is. He has been giving us all the updates. And he is the man on the scene, as they say.
Okay. I will be right back.
Yep. Although he has kind of disappeared here briefly. It is getting dark in Detroit, and that's never good. Oh, I'm kidding. It's a fine city now. Okay, so they go Sanat. Man, ESPN's update is like slower than time here.
My front door was open.
Oh, that's did the dog take off?
No, but he was investigating.
Oh,
I was like, no. Yeah. No, you're not doing that. It wasn't like open. It was cracked. It was ajar. He's like, well, I could just go out there for a little stroll.
Richard believes that you're making a Long Island right now, Ben. I'm going to suggest that's not true, but what is that?
It's Bernheim original weeded whiskey. So, it is. It's tasty. It's very, very smooth. If you like wheat whiskeys, you'd like this a lot.
Okay. I don't know that I've seen that in my neck of the woods, to be honest with you. Very nice.
I never bought a bottle. In fact, true confession, I rarely buy whiskey for home anymore because my friends give me whiskey for gifts, for like birthdays and whatnot. And I don't drink at home except for the podcast. It's the only time I drink at home at all. And so the only time I ever buy bourbon is Bradshaw. I buy Bradshaw because nobody ever gives me that. So it's like, well, fine, fuck you guys.
Rattel said he listens every Thursday while driving his forklift.
Very nice.
You must be a fantastic forklift driver, because if you ever hear some of the cracks we get, like Casey Kasem, I would drive a forklift right into a wall laughing. So and Andrew, same to you, man. Would I trade next year's second for Ayuk? Ooh, I don't think so. I don't think so.
Maybe. Okay, here's why. A second round pick in a current year is basically valued like a third round pick.
Third round.
next year. So what I would probably be more inclined to do is trade a 3rd-round pick for him this year because we have 2 3rd-round picks.
Right.
And then you're burning a 3rd-round pick on a wide receiver. But I don't think they're going to do that. And here's why.
Okay.
The price, Andrew, the price on Ayuk just went up dramatically. When the Lions extended St. Brown and made him the highest paid wide receiver in the league, all the other wide receivers in the NFL that are about to be redone all said, hallelujah, thank God.
Oh, my God. You
Jamar
can hear
Chase
the
is
roar.
like, yeah, 35 for me. Woohoo, yeah.
Yep.
So basically the Lions fucked over the entire NFL. Punished themselves too because that was unnecessary, but they fucked over the entire NFL.
Yep.
Now the price on Ayuk has gone up to $30 million. There's no way. No way.
I agree. I think the Steelers are looking more now, even if their flirtation, and my understanding is the flirtation with that never really got serious. It was more of what GMs do. They make phone calls.
There was a phone call once at the outset of free agency.
Right.
And it was discussed, and that's it. That was the end of it. What would it take? And that was it.
Yeah.
There was never any quote unquote aggressive pursuit of Ayuk by the Steelers. That never happened.
No. And I would say 2 more things on that. I would say number 1,
Claude, they're not going all in this year. I know that's what Steelers Twitter wants to believe. They're not going all in this year.
Let's come back to that point. Let me finish what I was getting at with Ayuk is just simply the fact that, there are individuals on social media that want to make you believe they know something because they talked to somebody who talked to somebody, and there was never any serious flirtation with Ayuk. Now, that doesn't mean something can't happen, but as of right now, everything we know and have been told, it's not going to happen.
It ain't happening.
No, the price is much too high. They're probably going to look at something a much more mid-level type guy would be my guess. If they do decide to do that,
they want to trade him. Yeah, they want to trade him, but they want a 1st-round pick, and he wants $30 million, and so he's not going anyplace. T. Higgins, same thing. T. Higgins was given permission to seek a trade. He was given permission. Nobody called.
Ian just posted in our chat that the tremendous lineman coach, Duke Manyweather, just said that the Steelers, you just got the best center in the draft. And of course, Duke.
I really like him, and I was really, really happy with the quality of centers this year.
Absolutely,
Frazier was a fringe 1st-round, 2nd-round grade for me. He was right there, so I'm really happy. The 2 guys we got are pretty nasty, pretty violent players along that line. Yep. So I mean, I guess. Tomlin saying yesterday, I'm not concerned about center, was more smoke. Him just basically saying, no, we're not worrying about that.
Yeah.
They knew what they were going to do.
Yeah.
They knew.
I absolutely. I'm reminded of the movie, The Hunt for Red October, when the Fred Thompson character says, the Russians, don't do anything without a plan. The Steelers don't do anything without a plan when it comes to the draft. They might say things publicly, but they're not gonna.
They're cagey about what they're going to do. And Claude, you're right. They did send a message. The Niners sent a message last night by taking Pearsall from Florida, and he is a lot more like Brandon Ayuk than he is Deebo Samuel.
Yes,
so
totally agree.
It kind of. It looks like they're planning for Ayuk's inevitable exit.
Yeah,
even if they manage to keep him this year, if he plays this season, he's gone after that.
Yeah, it's coming at one point.
Yeah, I like Pearsall too.
I really did too, and I mentioned this a little bit before you came on. It's a lot of the guys that are going in this 2nd round are guys that I really had as more like 3rd rounders. I mean, Cleveland just took Hall out of the defensive tackle from Ohio State. I didn't really see
Yeah.
him as a second rounder. A couple of these other guys, I kind of felt that way too. Pearsall was a guy I thought, okay, mid-second round, maybe at best, but I never saw him going in end of the first round. But, when you like a guy, you go get a guy. And I respect that.
Yeah. And you also you bear in mind, is the guy going to be there the next time we pick?
Right.
We really like him. He really fits what we want to do. Is he still going to be there?
Mm-hmm.
No. Okay. Well, then let's try and trade back. But if we can't, we can't. Oh, Patrick Paul finally came off the board.
Yeah, he's been an interesting guy. The Steelers didn't pay much attention to him at all, but he's been rising draft boards.
Well,
recently.
he told everybody he was going to be a late first-round pick, and I was like, yeah, dude, no, you're not.
Yeah, well, hey, I appreciate the confidence.
I was surprised by the volume of offensive tackles taken yesterday, and I think the Steelers got really lucky. I think
I agree.
I think Troy Fautanu was the steal of the draft. I don't know what this knock on him being short is. The dude is 6'4".
It's okay. So I looked into this. It's not that he's short, it's that he plays low, which if you talk to some of the experts, they'll tell you that's actually good.
That's
good. Yeah. I want a guy that plays low, especially in the run game.
When you look at offensive tackles, you want guys that have long torsos. Okay. It's because they have a lower center of gravity.
Yeah.
You want guys with a long torso and long arms. Okay.
Yep.
He's got 35-inch arms. His torso.
Jonathan Ogden. Ogden was always the prototypical in that regard for me.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, he was 6'7". He was gigantic.
Yeah, he was a little taller, but
he had this long torso and long ass arms. And so he had a natural low center of gravity. Fountain is the same way. And he's nasty. He's a mean, nasty player that I think he has great attitude. He's great work ethic, great teammate. I'm thrilled with this pick. I don't know why people are bitching about it.
I don't either. I'm stuck with his feet. His feet are he is so light for a man that's 315 pounds. It's
should not be able to move that way.
No.
Yeah, no. I think that people that are complaining about that pick today, most of them in a year are going to be really, really happy that he was the pick.
I agree. And I put this on Twitter today. When you draft offensive linemen, it doesn't get a lot of attention. It's not sexy, so people automatically poo-poo it. And you have to almost have the opposite viewpoint of that. That these are the guys that allow those sexy players to do their jobs. If you don't have these guys, nobody else that can do it. I mean, ask Patrick Mahomes. His successful Super Bowls have been largely because of good offensive line play. His bad Super Bowl was because of terrible offensive line play. So to me, that's where it is. I love the pick. I love today's pick so far. And I'm just really curious to see what they do here with 2 picks in round 3. So.
I think they're going to go defensive tackle or wide receiver next.
That's where I'm at. I think it's going to be one or the other, or both, of course.
I mean, they still need a corner.
Yep.
But the value for corner, I'm not sure that it's there at this point.
I mean, another guy like Max Melton went already. He's another guy I thought was probably a 3rd rounder, and he went high seconds. Like, geez.
Yeah. I mean, the NFL teams have got different boards than the draft Twitter guys.
Oh, for sure. And it's just like, our Ian broke down our board. And
that was actually pretty cool. We need to do that again next year.
Yeah, he did
where he just keeps it up on the board and he updates it and goes, okay, these are the guys because the guy they ended up taking was the guy we had with the highest grade remaining.
Yeah. Yep.
And I think he ended up 7th on our board. I think I had him 10th.
We were all in that area. Had him close. What Aaron just sent something.
Pat P
here.
coming back. Yeah, Pat P probably is coming back in some capacity. My guess is as a minimum salary guy who plays, he's a role player / mentor for the young corners. So I expect him back, and not for a lot of money, but I bet he plays in some third down packages.
I would agree, and I'm gonna let you.
He sent you a graphic on.
Yeah, I'm gonna let you talk
Frazier.
just a minute. This is the Aaron does the draft cards for each of the players we draft, and then I kick them out on social media here. So because I don't multitask well. So
Mark was talking about this not being, offensive lineman not being a sexy pick, and that's why people bitch about it. You're not going to hear as much bitching about this Frazier pick, strictly because he went to West Virginia.
It's right up there with he went to Pitt.
He went to Pitt. He went to Penn State, and so people love the pick, because he went to a school that was nearby, and there's a large contingent of Steeler fans that love WVU and love Pitt and love Penn State.
Yep.
And so, when that happens, they're like, this is fucking great. This guy's great. He's the best center there is. Well, no, he's not. He wasn't the best center prospect this year, but he's good. He's very good. And honestly, most years, Zach Frazier is your first center off the board. The center class was very good this year. So he was hurt. His draft status, his draft stock, if you will, was hurt a little bit by the fact that it was a good center class at the top.
Yeah.
I mean, Cedric Van Pran's still there.
Yeah, who I think is a really, really good center.
I think he's a nice player. Yeah. I think he's going to he might play guard at the next level, but he's a nice player.
Yeah, Aaron is a very busy man. I got to tell you, this guy is not only is he listening to the show, he's at the draft watching, he's doing graphics, and he's also supposed to be watching his kid who's there amongst a crowd of 175,000 people. So I hope your kid hasn't run off already and isn't running the bases at Comerica Park right now, Aaron.
The kid's probably just off someplace taking a leak against the wall. It's fine.
Seems to be a bit of a public pisser from some photos that we've seen. So,
right?
Yeah.
Weird,
yeah.
Man.
What are you going to do? Did the Cowboys ever pick? I saw to the Dolphins, and ESPN is slower than me.
No, Patrick Paul went to the Dolphins, and I'm not watching Twitter, so I'm sure this has been tipped, but I don't know what the Cowboys pick is.
Yeah, I don't yet either.
You're out.
Okay, there we go. They took the kid from Western Michigan University, Marshawn Nealand. Went to high school not far from here. Nice player. Again,
he's from Michigan. He clearly sucks.
Well, absolutely. This was a reach. He's a good player. He's got good size, some decent speed. I just didn't see him as a second round guy. I thought
speaking of reaches, man. Braden Fisk at the top of the second round. What the fuck was that?
Look,
the dude is a good pass rusher, but he's got no anchor, none. He's not a full-time guy in there. He's not a guy you can plug in and you expect to be a starter. He doesn't have enough weight in his ass. I don't understand why he doesn't have the anchor, but he doesn't have it.
I don't know. He went
to a Big 5 conference for one more year to play.
Yep.
And his pass rushing was encouraging, and he can penetrate between blockers and create some havoc, but he can't anchor. So if you go against the team in a gap scheme, and the lineman gets a hold of him, Fisk is getting driven off the line. I do not understand that pick at all. I thought he might be available in the fourth. I thought for sure he'd be there in the third, but he might be there in the fourth.
When the process started, if you looked at most people's boards, if you will, take it for what it's worth, he was a fourth round guy. And then he had an exceptional combine. All of his numbers were off the charts. He's got the motor, everything else. And so boom, he moved his way into the second.
Rams had a need at defensive tackle, but you got to be able to stop the run, man.
Right.
So Tampa picked, and as soon as they picked, Green Bay picked immediately.
Oh, whoa. Okay, because I'm not even seeing
So
that.
Houston's on the clock.
Holy crap, that was fast. Who did Tampa Bay take?
I don't know. Hasn't been announced. You know, they've got to pace out the picks because they got to make sure that they've got enough time on TV.
Well, look, we're old guys. We just want to turn the TV on and watch the picks. Some of the pomp and circumstance is just awful. But I get it. I get it. They got to have it. Aaron said Braswell. That is the kid from, is that Bama? Braswell? Who am I thinking of? I'm drawing a blank here.
Yeah, no.
Is it? All right. Well, I'm going to wait a minute here.
I don't know.
Braswell.
Yeah.
I know I think he's an edge. If I'm not mistaken, he's an edge. Played opposite. Did he play opposite? Yeah, went to Bama. That's right. Okay. Thank you, Aaron. And by the way, Nick Saban is doing a really nice job. Not that I thought he wouldn't, but he's really good on game day. And he knows ball. I mean, the dude just knows ball. It's so interesting just to listen to him.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I mean, he knows an insane amount of.
Oh my God, he knows more.
But and he's a good communicator, and that's what made him a good coach.
And Aaron said Belichick was good on McAfee yesterday, and I don't doubt that either. I remember when ESPN did that interview with those two, Belichick and Saban, and you got to see a little bit of their actual personalities, and as many
Belichick
players
has one.
Yeah, well, they'll tell you when the cameras aren't on, these guys are funny, and they're a little bit more willing to speak frankly, if you will, not just so scripted. But I get it. I still haven't seen. Let's see. We have a breaking news report. Ian's kids are in bed. And he may be on momentarily.
At 9:00.
That's
wow.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. You know what? I'm willing to bet he gave them some NyQuil. I bet you
maybe
did.
Some Valium.
That guy. That too. Or maybe you let him sip on the whiskey.
Put a little whiskey in the milk.
Yeah. Yeah.
One of my friends a couple of years ago wanted me to tell her how to keep her sons from beating the shit out of each other. And that was my advice. I said, well, put whiskey in the milk because that's never going to end. And she's like, are you serious? I'm like, they're boys. They're going to beat the shit out of each other. Yes.
Melatonin, Andrew. That's the safe way, right?
We did that. I remember.
Well,
I remember getting in fist fights with my friends when I was a kid. The next day, we were just like, "Hey, what's up?"
Absolute shit. Every day with my brother. I mean, if a fight didn't end with somebody bleeding, it wasn't a real fight, I mean, it's like, oh, dude, my lip's bleeding. Okay, all right, I guess it's done. It's brotherly love, I suppose. What do they say about our generation? We were raised by the latchkey kids. We were raised by neglect.
We were raised by each other. I mean, we used to put socks. We used to put socks on our fists and box.
Yes. I can remember actually having a robe, and I would come onto the living room in my robe like I was Larry Holmes or something.
Oh my God.
No, Dwight, you're right. Yeah, the parents get involved in the kid fights. Not mine.
Clifford, the whiskey does not wake me up. Being off of work wakes me up.
Yes, he's been energized away from the business.
It's Friday and work is done.
That's also true. I keep forgetting it's Friday. It's weird. Man,
it's fantastic. What are you talking about?
It's tremendous. It's it's good.
Okay, so Braswell, the edge from Alabama, has gone to Tampa.
One
Green Bay's
other
pick is in. Tampa's pick is in. Excuse me. Green Bay's pick is in.
Right.
Houston's pick is in.
Oh wow.
Yeah, they're pacing
moving.
this out now. No, they're
Yes.
pacing it out, announcing the picks because they have to.
Yeah, they got to have TV commercial time.
Yeah.
One other thing that is currently flying under the radar. May 2nd is the deadline for the 5th-year option, and Mr. Najee Harris, we have yet to hear anything on that. I still expect that he will get it, but it's getting right down to it.
They're going to take all their time. They do every time.
Yeah.
Even with TJ, I think they announced it a day or two before the deadline.
Was it that close? I wasn't.
I mean, everybody knew they were going to do it. Nobody was right. Everyone knew.
Right.
But, they take all the time in the world on purpose, because then in future years, if they take all the time they need, it's not unusual. It's like they do this every fucking year.
True. Just set a precedent.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. I get edgy because I start thinking about the ramifications, which is short for the social media idiots that start going nuts.
Whatever.
I
think he's probably
they're not going to do it.
I think he's probably going to get it too. I don't know. Oh, the Texans took Blake Fisher.
Wow, he's a 4th-round guy.
Nah, he's a 3rd-round guy.
Really? Well,
yeah.
Are we even into the 3rd yet?
No, we're in the 2nd.
No. Yeah, I mean, geez.
The mighty Clifford, Hosewater, the maker of men. That is true.
That is absolutely true.
Comment right there.
That is absolutely true.
Hey,
I had more water.
They drafted a center. It's too late.
Yes,
they already
changed that, Ian. What's your problem, man?
I fixed it.
We drafted a center.
Good job.
There we go. All better.
I agree, Aaron. I really wanted Mason Smith in the 3rd, and he's gone.
When the fuck did he go?
He went several picks before we drafted.
I guess that's good because that's way too early. The Jacksonville took him at 48.
Yeah. I man, the dude had some just unbelievable.
I like him, but he again, I didn't see him as. I thought he was a 3rd or 4th-round guy.
I had him dead middle 3rd, with the understanding that he had a big ceiling. That was where I was.
Thank you all for joining us again on night 2. This is amazing.
Some unreal. I know it.
Yeah.
It is. These folks are awesome.
By the way, I did not give my kids whiskey to get them to bed. After dinner, I took them to the park and made them run around for an hour and then brought them home. Yes, I did. I was like, we're going to the park after dinner. You're going to run around for an hour, and then we're going to come home and go to bed.
That's awesome. Good for you, man.
There may or may not have been a report to the police about man running his children ragged at local park.
No, that's fantastic.
That's great.
That's
You're gonna sleep so well.
My 3-year-old and 1-year-old love to chase birds, so I'm like, just go chase the birds. Just run around, just run. It's awesome. Yeah,
right on.
You gotta love parks.
Yeah. They got some exercise, and you and Silica got some peace and quiet.
Well, Silica got some quiet. She stayed home. I took them to the park and played basketball with the older kids and let the younger ones chase the birds. So it was all good.
Right on.
But I made it.
Right on.
So, and we drafted a center. This is great.
Right. It's cool.
All good.
And I'm being serious when I say this. It's cool that there are parks like that where it's safe enough to just to let your kids just run around.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's fantastic.
Yeah. Well, we were talking about our
because that doesn't exist in every city.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Then drove them around the block until they were asleep. Now that
Bills took
actually the park's right down the hill from our house, so we just walked there, and then I made them walk up the hill home, so that tired them out too.
You mean Bills they walked up the hill? No sprints up the hill?
No, they were tired enough.
Too tired. Okay,
yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
fair enough.
So Cole Bishop's off the board. and the Lions are on the clock still.
Oh, the Bills took Cole Bishop?
Yep.
Man, I'm telling you, this is just bizarre. But I obviously these teams know better than me. But
Javon Bullard went.
Yeah, he went to the Packers, and that makes some sense. They needed some help in their secondary, if I recall.
Yeah, and he's a nice player.
Yeah, I agree. He's yep.
Yeah, I mean, I think honestly, we addressed our two biggest needs where we needed starters, and now you need a corner, probably a slot corner, and a receiver who can either be a number 2 or a slot receiver.
Lions
scrolling back
took
to the
Ennis Rakestraw.
Oh, kid from Missouri.
He had an injury that was a question mark there.
Yep. That's 2 corners for Detroit.
Oh, the Cowboys are re-signing Ezekiel Elliott. Did you guys see him last year?
Yeah,
he was built like a nose tackle.
Yeah, he
put on a few pounds.
Yeah, he continues to look like the biggest of the Ewoks.
Yeah, dude. I'm like, damn, dude. Jerome Bettis played for the Steelers, and he wasn't that big. Even in like his last year, he was like 275. KR, the Steelers went to gap blocking concepts late in the year last season, and that's why the run game improved.
Sayamalu especially.
Yeah, all of them.
Well, yeah, but he's the one that I thought was amazing.
But here's the thing about Arthur Smith, and so KR makes a good point. Arthur Smith's preferred blocking scheme historically is an outside zone. You know, and the tight ends are the pivot. So the tight end that we signed, whose name escapes me, I'm sorry,
Michael Pruitt.
Michael Pruitt, who is nothing but an extra lineman, and Darnell Washington, who is about to become an extra lineman, are gonna figure key into the running attack next year.
Dwight, I believe he does. You know, would it surprise me if he didn't? Not necessarily, but I really believe they have Fautanu going to right and Broderick going to left. But you know,
they're not
especially now they drafted their center. So the thought that Fautanu is going to kick inside, forget it. He's playing tackle.
How you doing there, George?
Yep.
Nice of you to join us. Thank you, sir.
George is in. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Welcome.
I am thrilled with the Zach Frazier pick, by the way. I know I was chatting with Mark while I was trying to brush my kids'
chatty.
I was in the chat, but I wasn't on the show. So I was sending Mark messages and I was absolutely thrilled. I'm there like trying to brush kids' teeth and they picked Frazier and I was ecstatic. That was very good.
Yeah, and everybody was in the chat too.
Do you like Bortolini?
Yeah, Bortolini's athletic. I mean, I thought he was more of like a round 3-4 kind of borderline guy, like in that more athletic than Cedric Van Pran, but maybe not as physical at the point of attack.
I would go with that.
But yeah, I didn't hate Bortolini. I would have been fine with him. The kid from Arkansas, Bo Limmer, was like an athletic freak too. So like this was a deep center class. But no, I'm thrilled with Frazier. I mean, just the leadership. He's another guy that gets it, right?
Yep.
He gets it, and he's a nasty player. He's just he's mean, and I kind of like that.
I mean, you look at that line now with him, Sayamalu, and of course the nasty streak that Fautanu has. Also, I really like the direction of that. Just in that respect, that's something we've sorely been lacking.
I agree. Now here's the next thing, because Ian and I are definitely going to be talking about this, if not this week, next. James Daniels is going into the last year of his contract.
They should extend him, and he's only like 26 years old. Sorry,
he's young.
No, you're fine.
No, you're right. That's kind of where I was going with it. Is he's young. I agree with you. Like, he's a young player. He was young when we signed him. Personalities like that are foundational type guys. He's performed well. He's going to be more expensive now than he was when they signed him, but they should redo his deal, in my opinion.
I agree.
And then next year you got to redo Siamalu, and he's going to be expensive.
We just real quick, we're losing our man on the scene. Apparently, he has a child that is running out of gas, and so fireworks, and we are out of here. So thanks to Aaron, our man on the scene.
Aaron.
Yes. Wonderful job, and did a great job, of course, with our graphics. And he leaves
Ravens
us with
took Rosengarten.
Again, another guy I did not see as a second-round pick. Nice player.
Lions take. I didn't even see who the Lions took.
They took Rakestraw.
Rakestraw. Yeah, I told you guys that. I'm sorry.
Yep.
Dumbass. Wait, what is it? That isn't Rakestraw's not a corner.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, he is. Yeah,
Cornerback. Yeah.
I thought it was a safety.
Yeah, there was a ton of corners that went in round 2.
There was a little run.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at assuming we are targeting.
Can you really? I mean, why is DeJean still available?
No,
what if
really
DeJean is available?
He's not. He's gone.
Is he gone?
He's way
pretty early in the second. Yep. I don't even remember who he went to.
It was pretty Philly.
Philly, that's right.
So Philly took DeJean and Quinion Mitchell. So they got 2 corners in this draft. That's a heck of a draft for the Eagles.
Aaron is giving us the Steelers jersey count of what he's seen so far. 4 Watt, 4 Polamalu, 2 Fields, 1 Ham, 1 Roethlisberger. I can tell you just from the local news coverage here at 6 o'clock, I saw at least 1 Hayward. I saw Minkah Fitzpatrick. So Steeler Nation very well represented there. Obviously there's a ton of Lions blue there, but that's to be expected, of course. So
any Ratbirds purple?
I saw one. Who was it? It wasn't Lamar Jackson, which was surprising. God dang, who was it? Might have been an Ed Reed jersey, now I think about it, which makes sense.
Hall of Famer. Really can't go wrong with that.
So what if Pittsburgh is awarded this thing? Mm-hmm. Where do they do
awarded what?
The draft.
Oh,
they've put in for it.
Seriously, you
they would construct something in the parking lots between Heinz Field and PNC Park.
I would think.
I do it at Stage AE. Basically, and I have a lot of the festivities in the parking lot.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
If you look at that big, it almost reminds me of like a massive Quonset hut from the Vietnam era. I mean, that's all been constructed there in Detroit. That is just all there strictly for the draft, and then it'll come down. That's what I was thinking. Is it would have to be in that parking lot?
Or parking lots.
I don't know what else you would do.
I was being a smart ass about the walkways along the river yesterday.
Yeah, but
fine. What I'd be more concerned about, and the reason I don't think they will get it, is there are not enough hotel rooms in Pittsburgh.
Well, I'll tell you right now. Aaron's mentioned that Green Bay has it next year. Green Bay,
same deal.
Lambeau Field is literally in the middle of a middle-class neighborhood. Okay. Right. You just drive, you go past stop sign block, and then boom, there's Lambeau.
That's kind of how the Bills Stadium is too.
Yeah, very similar as well. So you want to talk about lack of hotels. Now they've built some stuff around there. They kind of call it Title Town around there. And it's nice, but I don't know where they're going to do it either. People more familiar with it than me, but will know that. But I think if Green Bay gets it, then I don't think it's any problem that the Steelers should be able to get it.
Yeah, what would be really cool? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
There are a lot of municipalities. That's a big word for me right now. There are a lot of municipalities in Pittsburgh. For example, Mount Lebanon.
So I've heard that's nice.
Familiar with, and Dormont that no longer allow Airbnbs.
Mount Lebanon has not done anything.
Not done that.
Airbnbs. No.
Okay, well that's good.
I was gonna say I stayed in one there.
Yeah.
So did I a while ago, and I tried to get it again, and I was told it was not available because
they probably had you flagged.
didn't allow it anymore. Yeah. Well, no, actually, I had somebody else trying to do it because because we were this house. Sorry, gonna go off on a tangent here. This
That's
house
all right.
had had a massive front porch that was basically kind of an outdoor living room.
Yeah,
and so that was where we spent all our time.
Yeah. That's why you weren't allowed to rent it again.
That's why he wasn't let back in.
Assholes were all.
You can imagine with all of us drinking, we're out of town, we're there for a week, we're out there every single night. Those poor neighbors. Oh my God.
I can
imagine. They never complained once. Not once. Well, and we got a good review from the Airbnb folks, but I was like, you know what? Right. Maybe you should do it with your account this time.
Just updating real quick. It looks like the Chiefs are back-to-back picks here. Did they have that originally, or did they trade into those or one of those? I don't know.
Chiefs, Kingsley.
Well said, Ben. Nice job. I believe he's another offensive tackle.
Yeah, from BYU.
I know a little bit about him. Traded up just now, so they clearly had their guy in mind. Rosengarten.
Chiefs select tackle Suamate. Yeah, the same.
Yeah,
guy.
I think. Yeah, I think that stage AE slot was probably the best one.
Yeah, I would think so
in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, for sure.
That said, you know what would be really cool? It's probably not quite big enough. But down in Point State Park, like where the big grassy lawn is, right before you go down.
I don't think it's big enough.
I saw a concert there.
I was thinking the same thing, Ian.
There and set up a stage. It's a really cool, like with the way
it's
framed
cool
by the trees to see a concert. Yeah,
it is cool, and you could probably get 5,000 or 8,000 people down there, maybe. But look at what happened in Detroit. 200,000 people showed up.
Oh, they had people sliding under security fences last night.
So you'd have to have events on the outside in the lots.
Yeah.
And have the event itself at stage AE and just open the gates up and let people in. Because stage AE is only what?
It's not that big.
5,000 people maybe tops?
You could probably put like the NFL experience thing right in Heinz Field or Acrisure.
Yeah, they'd have to open up Acrisure.
Yeah, do that. And
honestly, they could do the draft in Acrisure.
Heinz at Acrisure, yeah.
It was whatever. God, I can't wait till they get rid of that stupid name.
Love
it. Well, here's a question.
Or that, or I take the Ryan route and I call it the old Heinz.
The old. Oh, I like that.
So here's a question though: would we have got Russell Wilson if Acrisure didn't have their name on the stadium?
Well, he is an investor. So. I'm going to say would have, but I think it was all too.
Yeah, no. Here's why he went to all those teams, and no one would guarantee him the job as a starter.
Yeah.
And so the first team that had said yes, we're going to guarantee you that you'll be our starter, he would have said, okay, fine. It was always going to be a 1-year deal for the minimum, no matter where he went.
Oh yeah,
because he's getting so much money from the Broncos that with the money basically going back to them as a credit, you're not paying him any more than that. So, yeah, no Scarps tonight. Sorry, Clifford.
No.
Scarps is. What's he doing?
I believe
he's got some family stuff.
He had some family obligations tonight.
Family stuff.
He of course had us last night. And I think
had to take his infant to a Pirates game.
Yeah, I think he was at the Bucks game the night before, so he's doing some family stuff. He has a kid at a restaurant. That's right. He's that guy right now.
I've done it before. It's not that bad.
Oh no, it's
Well, it's like. For you, it's not that bad because you have a whole bunch of kids, so you can keep them all online because you've had a lot of friggin' practice.
Well,
Ryan's a new dad.
That's true.
Right. That is true. Yeah.
Plus,
when Ian goes to dinner, though, they reserve a special room for him, though, because he's got so many people.
By the time you get to your 10th kid, like Ian's on now, I mean, it's really simple. It's easy because you've had so much practice, so many of them, that you've already made all the mistakes on the older ones. So the younger ones are easy.
You would think that. Yeah, whatever. How close are we to the third round?
I don't know.
2 picks away.
2 pick. Yeah, I was gonna say it's got to be close.
Yeah, we're
and
at
then
64 right now.
So then we go down to 5-minute spreads, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and then
tomorrow they're not taking a
tomorrow
long time to do it now. I mean, honestly, they're putting their picks in right away. It just the NFL is pacing them exactly.
Yeah. Oh, George, we know exactly what you're getting at. I don't understand people. Whatever.
For those around the Pittsburgh area, though, Spoonwood
49ers took Renardo Green.
Oh, that's a nice pick for them.
Yep.
Spoonwood Brewery in Bethel Park, it's down 88, has a very nice outdoor dining area and then like a grassy lawn where kids can run around and play while you can sit there and eat. So
those are becoming more popular. We had a place very similar just opened by us too. Yep.
Yeah.
Very similar. Mom and
dad
dad drink.
Quite good.
Yep. Mom and dad drink. Kids run around, and it's fenced in.
Yep. Exactly. Yep.
That's. Oh boy, somebody's been thinking in these restaurants.
It's true.
It's smart.
All right.
All that started with the pandemic when people had to sit outside.
Yes.
To go to a restaurant, and so people started going, okay, well, what can we do with this space now?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's that part of it's great. That part of it is fantastic. And there were some other unintended consequences of the pandemic that were great too, like shopping malls basically becoming a thing of the past, which means I don't have to go to one ever again.
Oh God, no.
Rest in peace, Century 3, which is getting demolished.
Oh, really? A mall getting demolished?
Yeah. It's been vacant for years. But
well.
Century 3 was like an institution in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
I still like to go to like a movie theater every once in a while, and a lot of those are attached to shopping malls. So that's a little bit of a bad thing. Like, I mean, call me sentimental. There's also a drive-in movie theater here. It's about a 40-minute drive for me, but during the summer, that's
fantastic.
Cool.
Yeah,
cool.
Yep. That's I've told Bradshaw he's got one right down the street from where he goes to school. I said, man, you got to go do that. It's just one of those things you got to do.
And the way they do it now too is you don't like remember the old school. You put the speaker in, and you turned it up, and all that. None of that. You tune into a radio station, and you play it on your car.
Yeah,
it's fantastic.
Let me steer us back a little bit. What do we like for round 3 here? Because we're on the clock now in round 3. Panthers.
Where's your board, Ian?
I don't have one for round 3.
Yeah, we don't have one for round 3. Clifford, it's funny you mentioned Jordan Travis. I can see us, if we really, really like the draft we've had, and so far we do, I can see him either a 7th. Well, we don't have a 7th. I can see him being an undrafted free agent coming in. He's a game manager type. He doesn't have a big arm. He's obviously coming off of the ACL. But I can see that because he's a smart kid too. But further than that, I'll be surprised if he gets drafted. He could just simply, I don't know.
Does this feel like another? I don't know. So far, to me, it feels like like Andy Weidel.
Oh, I said that at the beginning of the show.
I had a heavy hand. In deciding who they needed to get this year.
There was a specific reason that he came over when he did. When Omar became GM, he came over. And we knew the track record that he had in
Panthers
Philly.
Traded back,
it is not a shock to me at all that these. That's why I still think we'll see a defensive lineman here somewhere in the 3rd. I think it's receiver. I think it's receiver first, but then maybe D line.
Okay,
or
so the Jets
or linebacker. Don't sleep on linebacker.
Jets moved up in the 3rd. Jets moved. Why would they take a linebacker at this point?
They've done some work on some linebackers, but.
I know they have, but I mean, depending on how healthy.
How far did the Jets move here? They must
Jets
have
moved up to number 1 pick in the first round, and they took Malachi Corley.
Now, see, he was a guy I thought would have gone in the second.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to talk about a guy that catches the ball and does something with it? There you go. I mean, Rodgers will love that kid.
Yeah.
So I'm starting to think about
well,
Ian,
like, so I was just looking, right? Like, have any of the linebackers been taken yet?
The only one has been the kid from A&M.
Okay, so like Junior Colson's still there, Peyton Wilson's still there, Cedric Gray from North Carolina is still there. Like, those are decent players. And if you look at your board and say, hey, we had Junior Colson rated 65th and it's the 89th pick, like, this is tremendous value, then you go for it.
I mean, if Wilson,
where do you plug him in? Let me ask you this, and that's why you have a pressing need, and this is where I'm going to go back to needs. When we're in the first and second round, I'm a BPA guy, right?
Yeah,
sure. But we start to get it further into the draft, and it's like, okay, we have needs we have to fill. We need a wide receiver. We need a corner. Specifically, we need a corner who can play in the slot.
Yeah, Andrew Phillips from Kentucky. We I think we brought him in for a pre-draft visit. Met with him at the Senior Bowl. I think if he's still there, I think Phillips from Kentucky's a really good option at corner.
Cardinals just took Trey Benson at the top of the third.
Wow. Another running back, huh?
Him going that high.
Yeah. Let's talk wide receiver, though, because there's a lot of good wide receivers.
Do you have it in front of you, Aaron, who's left as far as the receivers right now?
Yeah, I do. And my name's not Aaron, but yes, I do.
You know why I said Aaron? Because
you were talking to him all night. Yes.
Yes. And I just saw his name on the Slack channel, and Jesus,
it's all
good.
Some
drinks.
Who's
left there?
We've had some drinks.
Motto of the show. Troy Franklin from Oregon, big bodied guy. Brendan Rice from USC, who a lot of people like. Roman Wilson from Michigan, kind of a do-it-all,
nice player,
tough guy receiver.
Really nice player.
Devontae Walker from North Carolina, who's a speedster. Corley just went. Malik Washington from Virginia, who's small but has great hands. And then Luke McCaffrey from Rice, who I don't think is a third-round player, but if like a bunch of those guys start going and you're at pick 98 and you're like, well, why not?
He's a route runner, man. That dude runs some serious routes.
So I mean, and then I think they had, in the later rounds, like 6th round, Taj Washington from USC. I think they had in for a pre-draft visit also. So,
well, I thought they had one of the other guys you mentioned in too.
McCaffrey and Corley. They both did some work on.
Yeah, Corley gone. I thought there was one other.
But I wondered if those two guys, when they brought them in, if they weren't looking at them for medicals.
Maybe.
That's one of the points that Tomlin made about 30 visits is that. A lot of the guys they bring in, they might have some medical questions. They might not have had an opportunity to sit down and have enough personal interaction with them to get a sense for what they were like. And so they gave them a 30 visit, brought them in.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like the whole top 30 visit that some of the media members use.
It's not top. It's
not. And it hasn't been for a decade.
No, in fact, the Steelers had a kid in from Ferris State University, I think.
Yeah,
the DB. That's a Division II school.
Sean Stevens, I think, was his name. Yes. I don't know if he actually visited. They said they had one scheduled, but then they had
30 other guys. You're right.
Yeah, I think Michael Penix similarly. They had one scheduled, but never did anything. Which
never happened.
That's still hilarious.
Whatever. They did bring in was Zach Frazier.
Yes.
And obviously that's a local visit for them, so it didn't count.
Yep.
That's actually a good point by Ben that, looking back at last year's draft, the first 4 picks were all guys we brought in for visits.
Yep.
And so far this year, the top 2 picks have also been guys we brought in for visits. So, that's definitely something to keep an eye on as a trend.
When they brought Fautanu in, I was like, this guy's not going to be there. Why the fuck are they even wasting time with this? He's going to be gone.
Well,
and then when he fell that far, I was just like, what the fuck?
Why? I think DeCastro. You learn lessons because I guarantee not one of us thought he was going to be there.
That's true.
I know I didn't.
I was like, probably isn't going to happen. So who are they going to take instead? And then he was there. I was like, oh my God.
Mm-hmm. That was one of the best draft nights. I remember because we were picking 23rd, 24th that year, somewhere 24th. Around there. When it got to 17 or 18, I was like, they should trade up for DeCastro. I can't believe he's still there.
We were talking about it.
Go up and get him. And then he just fell right to him. And I was like, I can't believe nobody picked him.
Yep.
That was the night I ended my Twitter beef with Mike Vukovcan.
Who?
He used to be a producer for KDKA.
I know exactly who he is.
Yeah. I don't know. He said a bunch of dumb stuff, and we were chirping at each other a lot. Back in the day when Twitter was fun, and you could be like, "Oh, you're a producer for KDKA, and I think I know more than you, so I'm just gonna chirp at you all the time and tell you how dumb your takes are." And he was a big DeCastro guy, and I think I replied to something. I was like, "All right, look, if we draft DeCastro, I will bury the hatchet with you." And he was like, "Agreed." And so. And actually,
Commanders took Brandon Coleman.
Oh wow, yeah. And now actually, we get along quite well. We, reply to each other.
I've had a couple of those too.
Yeah,
for sure. Welcome in, Bill. Welcome in. Not sure we've seen Bill before. We love it too, Bill. We are all over it.
Yes. Drafting and think about this too. In the last 2 years since the Con Weidel team has taken over. Our first 2 rounds have been, because we had 2 second-round picks last year. Yep. So it's been offensive tackle, cornerback, defensive tackle, offensive tackle, center. They're building in the trenches, and I love it.
I do too.
That's where you win football games. It's great.
Exactly.
I do too. I love it.
Plus, don't forget that they went out and signed Sayamalu last summer. So, that's another one that they brought in. Really, the only person from the offensive line when that group took over now is James Daniels.
Mm-hmm. And it's not like he's been around a long time.
No, he was signed the year Colbert's last year. So, yeah.
Right. But again, when they brought him in, he was 24. And I was like, so the Bears let a young, competent, young offensive lineman walk. How fucking stupid.
Well, the Bears have not always been thought of as overly competent in the last 30 years.
By the same token, since we shouldn't throw stones in glass houses, the Steelers they traded away Kevin Dotson. And the Rams promptly moved him to right guard and put him in a scheme that was more suited to his abilities.
Yep.
And now, what's he making? $16 million a year or something?
He got paid.
Good for him. Happy for him.
I agree. Absolutely good for him. Good for his father. His dad was one of the nicest people. I had a chance to meet him. I mean, you just root for people like that. And
I just think it was kind of a wasted opportunity.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think sometimes we have a penchant for trying to stick, square pegs into round holes instead of just letting them be what they are. And he was a classic case of that.
That was one of the things I really loved about Mike Munchak was he tried to design a blocking and run scheme around the strengths of his players.
Yep.
I was talking to Ramon, why
Foster?
am I pulling a blank? Foster about this on Twitter.
Yeah. Yep.
And I just asked him point blank. I'm like, so what does the guy do differently? Why is he so successful? And he's like, he doesn't ask us to do things that we're not good at.
Yeah.
That's it.
I think that can get lost a lot of times because, good coaches know how to pull those switches, if you will. Instead of taking a guy and trying to fit him to what you think he should be, just let him be what he is, and you get the most out of him that way.
I mean, don't get me wrong. That Munchak is notorious for challenging players, telling them that they're not playing up to their ability, and challenging them that way.
Look at the era he played in.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah,
but That said, what he does is he says, hey, you're good at this. We're going to use that.
Yeah.
And it would be really, really nice if we had an offensive line coach in Pittsburgh who would do that now. Just saying.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm hopeful, obviously, but we'll see. Patriots are on the clock unless they picked already, and I'm just way behind.
They picked.
The
Chargers pick is in.
Yeah. The
New
picks
England
are in.
took Caden Wallace. And the Commanders took TCU offensive tackle Brent. No, that's done. We already told you that. Caden Wallace. What about the Chargers pick? Oh, they took Junior Colson. He's gone.
Who did?
Chargers. That's a nice pick at 69.
Yeah, it is, and obviously Harbaugh's got a lot of familiarity there. Yeah.
Mark, you missed the joke. That was like right over here.
Oh shit! I was trying to follow along. What did you say?
I said that's a nice pick at 69.
Oh God. I deal with juveniles on a daily basis, so sometimes
and you still miss these things.
Yeah, because when I get home, that just goes. Whew, it's gone. I normally become the juvenile, and I just.
It is a good pick though. Like
I was in
69. That's a solid. It's a
I was in a humanities course, and I think we were studying Greek history when I was. It had
Andrew, my buddy from college, is ready to slaughter me right now. He's like, I can't believe you.
When I was in high school, Catholic high school, no less.
Oh boy!
And Mrs. Gething had a question, and she was like, who was this figure in Greek history, blah, blah, blah. And I raised my hand and I said, Mrs. Gething, was it Testicles? Trying to be really funny, and all my male friends around me were snickering, laughing, like lowering their heads behind them.
Did you get hauled out by your earlobe?
No. She looked at me and said, no, Ben, it wasn't. And then moved on. I was like,
good for her.
God damn it. I was hoping to get a rise out of her. Got nothing.
She's obviously a very experienced educator.
He was,
no doubt,
yes.
Not to take the bait. Interesting. Aaron, can you give us your current location? Are you you in the vehicle? You en route back to Ohio? What's going on there with Aaron?
I hope Aaron's not chatting and driving.
Knowing his technological prowess, he probably has some kind of system where he can communicate and text and drive and do all that stuff at the same time. But who knows?
Home.
Yeah, he's heading home.
Safe, Aaron.
Heading home. Ian, what was our level of interest with Roman Wilson? Obviously, I know the famous story of Tomlin matching Wilson against Quinion Mitchell down at the Senior Bowl, but did we have any contact with Wilson outside of the Senior Bowl?
Well,
let me
check my spreadsheet.
I don't have it.
Yeah, hold on. I have them in alphabetical order.
You don't have Ian's spreadsheet?
I have it on my other computer.
So obviously Tomlin was at the Senior Bowl. And we sent a very large contingent to Michigan's Pro Day, which included Omar Khan, Mike Tomlin, Arthur Smith, Terrell Austin. So
that's enough.
They've had plenty of contact with them. Yeah. And Tomlin loves those Senior Bowl guys. So if honestly, if Roman Wilson's there, I would love that pick.
I wouldn't hate it.
You would be.
I'd be okay with it. I mean, how do you?
Yeah. I mean, I really want a true number 2 guy, to be honest, but I would have a hard time passing him up just because of what he offers.
He could play out of the slot. He's got that toughness. He's a pretty good route runner, and he's like sneaky quick too. He's faster than you think he is.
He is.
Yeah. Short area.
Good route runner, knows where to settle down in the zones. He's a good player. He really is. Aaron informs us his brother is driving, so he's just texting and listening and everything else. And so good for you, Aaron. All right.
Mark, you should send Aaron a link to the show so that he can just join in and give us a live report instead of having to type it all out.
Well, he's no longer live on the scene. He's on his way back to hell, Ohio. So yeah. I could have done that in the beginning, but yeah, it's been a week. Let's see. So
we're at 84.
Well,
no, we're at 84.
We're at 84, and we are currently at
we're at 84 and 98, and the draft is currently at 71.
We're currently at 71.
Yeah. So there's going to be a little,
but these are going
a little
quick.
Bit of a lull.
The Patriots took the tackle from Penn State. Huh?
Yeah,
Wallace. Yeah, I know. It just popped up on ESPN, but I'm just like, God, I don't even remember evaluating him. I don't remember him being that high up on boards. Huh.
No, he was, I don't know, like mid rounds, I kind of thought.
Yeah.
So many tackles have gone in this draft. Like you're kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel.
Right.
Yeah, teams are going to start to get a little bit desperate. If you need tackle help, you have to go, okay, there's been a run. We need to figure out what we're going to do here.
Yeah. Oh, hey.
Do you guys think go ahead. Do you think, Ian, that we've passed the point now where a potential trade for a receiver is probably out the window? Apparently I'm talking to myself again.
Sorry.
I'm just teasing.
One of my kids got home. He was at a birthday party. So.
Good for him. Good for him. No, I was just saying, are now that we're into the third round, are we to the point where a trade for a receiver from another team is a lot less likely now?
No, I don't think
it can still happen. Okay.
I mean, draft pick trades are weird.
Yeah.
And you never expect a trade for a player. Like, remember when we traded Martavis Bryant for a second round pick, or was it a third round that we used on Mason Rudolph? It was an early third.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was during the second round. It was because it wasn't the first day of the draft. It was the second day of the draft that it happened.
Yeah.
So it was early in the second round that we traded him and got a third. But you never expect it to happen. And like the valuation on players versus picks is always kind of weird. We traded Santonio Holmes, who was a Super Bowl MVP, for a 5th round pick.
Yeah.
Granted, there were some other issues at the time. We knew he was going to get suspended, all that stuff. But nevertheless, I feel like during the year, anytime that's not draft weekend, you can trade 5th, 6th, 7th round picks for players. And they have to be like really something special to get like a day 2 pick for them. But during the draft, it seems like that happens a lot less. But I also think now, there's enough good wide receivers left on the board that the Steelers are probably looking at the board like, we're pretty confident one of these guys is going to drop to us. We don't need to be super aggressive and trade anything away. So, and maybe if the board falls differently and someone, it takes 2 to tango, right? So someone's really got to have a guy that they want to move up for and to give something away to get. So,
and that's what I mean, because really, I think once you get into the third, that's where you start to get away from that guy I really want. You know what I mean? I don't see too many teams like, it's the 4th round and I got to have this guy. Maybe. I don't know.
It does occasionally happen.
It does.
But I think also, you've got 32 different teams with 32 different boards plus 32 different sets of team needs. So if a team's got someone that they have really highly ranked at a position of need, that's where they get aggressive and start moving up for things.
Right.
So, I don't think we're in that spot yet, but if somebody else is and is willing to deal away a player, then the deals can be had.
I'm trying to think of how they're going to attack this receiver thing. And again, this could be a moot point here in a matter of minutes if they draft somebody that looks like an outside receiver. But,
I think the other sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to simply say that there are some positions that like Kevin Colbert used to be fine. Look, we're going to go into training camp, and then, we'll wait till that first round of cuts, and then we'll find a guy to fit that position. But receiver doesn't always seem to me to be a spot that you want to do that with, for numerous reasons. But, so I guess that's why I'm just trying to like spitball some things maybe in my head here, because the fact of the matter is we have to have a number 2 receiver, and I don't think Calvin Austin III is necessarily your best option as a third receiver. So I don't know. George makes a good point. They did trade up for Loudermilk late. That was a guy they wanted.
That was a weird trade because they traded a future pick.
They did. It was like they went up from the
they traded a future 4th for a 5th round pick to get him. I'm pretty sure. Or maybe it was a future 3rd for a 4th or something like that they traded a future pick at a higher round to get that pick to get
right. And so that's a very good point of reference there.
Yeah. I think the one other thing, there are still a couple wide receivers out there in free agency. And the other thing that you never know with the rate contracts are going at this point, like who might get cut come training camp time. There's always space to find guys. You're not going to find someone the quality of Brandon Ayuk getting cut in training camp. But no. I mean, never say never. Like Joe Hayden got cut, right? So and the contracts that some of these receivers are getting, plus after the draft, some of these teams like take Jacksonville, for instance, right? Jacksonville picked, they've drafted receivers in this draft and already had a pretty deep receiving core. Or even San Francisco. San Francisco took Ricky Pearsall from Florida in the 1st round.
Yeah.
So, I mean, ignoring Ayuk and Debo, Juwan Jennings, who was their 3rd receiver, is actually a pretty good player.
A very nice player.
If they want to work Pearsall in, and there's a deal to be had for Jennings, who I think has a year left on his contract also, like there could be something happening there too, so
that's exactly what I'm talking about. I guess what I'm getting at is because of the fact that it's dominoes to me. It's just what you said. They draft a guy. Now all of a sudden, a guy like Jennings goes from being a guy that's going to be on the field a lot. Well, not so much. Let's see if we can get something for him, and boom, there you go. So I just, and again, it could be a bit of a moot point here by the end of the night, just in terms of what they do in the draft. But I don't know. I'm trying to prepare myself for it. By the way, Phillips was taken by the Giants, the DB out of Kentucky. That was a guy we liked. And then Adams, offensive tackle, taken by the Cardinals. And I mean, Ian, you are exactly right. You said this about 15 minutes ago, I think. We are at the bottom of the barrel of offensive tackles, and it's the 3rd round. Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, there's guys who a lot of people had, 4th, 5th round grades on that are getting taken now just because. So it's a really good thing we got our tackle when we did.
Oh my God.
If we were waiting, if we were waiting on a tackle now, we'd be like, oh shit, there's nobody left. I think we're in a good spot. I mean, this is a deep-ish cornerback class. There's still corners to be had out there.
Yeah.
And there's still a lot of wide receivers available. So we're fine as far as I'm concerned. I love the fact that we went O-line in this draft. I didn't think they would. I
didn't either.
We were going to be sitting at this point like, oh man, I hope like Cedric Van Pran's still there in 15 picks when we're on the clock. But yeah,
that's where I felt like we were going to be. I'm just looking at. Okay, so Alt gone, Fashanu, Latham, Fuaga, Fautanu, Mims, Barton, Guyton, Morgan, kid out of BYU, Fisher, the other kid. Oh, wait a minute here. No, the kid from Yale. Is he still on the board?
I think he might be.
Okay, so right now on most draft boards, I'm just like
Cardinals just took Isaiah Adams.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's give me a second here to update this. Paul is off the board. Rosengarten's off the board.
Yep.
Adams now off the board. Wallace off the board. Wow. I mean, it is nuts, the number of tackles that are, I mean, it's just crazy.
Well, Adams is a guard. I mean, really.
Well, and that's another thing. Some of these guys are going to kick down. The kid from Pitt, Goncalves, is still there. Goncalves. Well, how do you say that name, Ian?
I think it's Goncalves.
I don't know.
But he had a nice workout. He showed some athleticism.
Yeah. Dominic Pooney is still out there from Kansas.
And he went to Pitt, so he shits gold.
Oh, well, yes, he does. And I'm surprised he wasn't selected at pick number 20 by the Steelers.
Yeah,
quite frankly.
So I know we said, obviously we signed Patrick Queen. We've got a Landon Roberts. We don't really know what Cole Holcomb's injury status is like.
That's the issue.
But let me just throw this out there. We're getting to the end of the third round here. By the time we pick, it's going to be pick 84. Peyton Wilson from NC State. I know he's got some injury questions, things like that. But I mean, that dude, you watch him on tape, that dude can friggin' play.
If he didn't have the injury issues, he'd be in the first round.
Yeah. And so I'm kind of like, we need a wide receiver. So, but we've got 2 picks coming up here, right? That like at 84, Cowboys, I'm all for baby. Take the best wide receiver available. But after that, I'm kind of like, if you're there at 98, like just take the best player if there's no corner that you love.
Panthers took Trevin Wallace, and the Cowboys took Cooper Beebe.
Yeah.
So
I do like now that Phillips is gone, like Elijah Jones from Boston College had some really nice tape.
Yeah.
I would not hate that pick if we took him.
It's just I'm looking at
there's a lot of corners that are gone too.
A lot of corners are gone, and I forgot Braswell gone already too, linebacker from Alabama. Trotter's still out there.
Trotter is out there.
It's Cedric Gray.
We Trotter and Gray. Yeah, honestly, like if Trotter was there in the 4th, yes, wow, Trevin Wallace went too. Yeah. If Trotter was there in the 4th, I would absolutely take him and just gamble on the upside. And Trotter's a guy. I mean, I saw high school games of his when he was at St. Joe's Prep out in Philadelphia, because St. Joe's Prep is like the all-star team that recruits people from 4 states and wins the state championship every year.
You don't sound bitter at all.
I'm bitter at all. Kids from New Jersey coming and winning the
Pennsylvania
Player of the Year award. Kyle McCord, the quarterback from Ohio State, or not Ohio State anymore, he transferred. But yeah, he lived in New Jersey, went to St. Joe's Prep in Philadelphia, and won the Pennsylvania Player of the Year award. And I was like, what the fuck are these people doing, giving the Pennsylvania High School Player of the Year award to a kid from New Jersey? This is, But at any rate, I digress. There were games in high school, and his college tapes like this too. There were games where he was absolutely dominant, was the best player on the field, and looked unstoppable. And then there were games where you were like, he looks like he has no clue. Like he looks like he just doesn't know what's going on. And I think that's why he's like a mid-round pick here now. But I mean, he's got the pedigree, and if you can tap into that games where he's the best player on the field, then it kind of like Keanu Benton almost, right? Like, remember Keanu Benton's tape? It was like some games he just like seemed like he was clueless and didn't care, and then at the Senior Bowl he was like, "Oh, this is my job interview. I'm gonna go balls to the wall."
Good point.
And we got
Raylan Trice. Does that mean anything to you guys?
Edge rusher from Washington, very highly thought of. That's a good
Falcons
pick.
Took him.
Yeah, that's a pretty decent pick.
Yeah, but seeing what we got last year was the full throttle Keanu Benton in the NFL, and I'm like, yeah. So if you can find a way to tap into that, then you can find good players in these mid rounds.
Going back to Peyton Wilson for a minute.
Yeah,
is there a player you guys can recall that had the injury issues he did, but when somebody took him, he ended up having a pretty damn good career? I'm sitting here trying to think of that, and I can't.
Maybe not as bad. The closest one I can think of is Landon Dickerson, the center from Alabama, who had some really serious knee problems.
He did.
And he went to the Eagles, I think, in the second or third round. He's playing guard for them now, but he's been great. I don't think he's missed more than a handful of games in the NFL.
And they don't have a center now.
No, they don't.
I kind of thought they were going to go JPJ early, to be honest with you.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think Dickerson, because we talked a lot about him on this show.
Yeah, that's a good reference point.
That might be the closest one I can think of someone with some serious injury concerns that actually turned out okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, that's a good example.
So what you guys are saying is that Corey Trice would be an outlier if he was healthy this season.
Well, should we expect him to be healthy this season?
For the entire season? What do you think?
His history is not so good, right? I mean, I didn't mind taking a shot at him. But I mean,
Corey Trice as a 7th round pick was perfectly fine.
Yeah,
so,
it was fine with that.
Yeah, and if I may digress on a tangent here, since it's the draft show and we've marked
and we're still waiting for the Steelers to come up in the 3rd round here.
Yeah, I feel bad for Mark. He was talking by himself for an hour.
31 minutes, thank you.
I don't care. I'm good with that.
At any rate. So
that is a bullet I'm willing to let Mark dive on.
Yes.
Grenade rather.
The way I look at the draft is your 1st round pick should be a guy that's capable of stepping in and starting year 1. Maybe not week 1, but sometime year 1 should be able to be a starter.
I mean, Troy.
Second and 3rd round are guys who should be eventual starters, who have high ceiling potential, but may not be there quite yet.
Okay.
Once you get to like 4th, 5th round, like you want those guys to be able to play on special teams immediately and maybe be depth players and, rotational players in the lineup, but you're not expecting to find immediate starters.
Right.
If you find a Richard Sherman in the 5th round and like struck gold, like that's insane. That doesn't happen every day, right?
No,
4th,
and
5th
that
rounders
was about fit, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
It was about fit, yes.
Yeah.
I think your first
6th,
rounder,
7th rounders. 6th, 7th rounders are guys that you're like, I hope they can make the roster, but if not, we're going to put them on the practice squad because we like their long-term potential, but they need some work. So that's kind of how I break down the draft in my head.
Right. Ben, you see first rounders a little different.
I think your first rounder should be a guy who's young, has a huge high ceiling, and has got all the intangible traits you need him to have. Obviously, a great deal of physical talent, but somebody who's going to be there for a long time. Lawrence Timmons and Troy Polamalu didn't do much as rookie players.
Yeah.
But they were good players for the Steelers for a long time. Obviously, Troy's in the Hall of Fame. That's what I'm looking for. Like how good can this guy be? How good can he really be for me? If he doesn't play this year, it's okay. Or if he doesn't start this year, that's okay. What I want is I want a long-term star.
Right. I agree with that. Speaking of Timmons, is he in the Hall of Honor yet?
No, not yet, but he should be soon.
You don't think he's getting in the Hall of Honor?
I don't think Timmons. I don't think he's getting in. No.
Wow.
He'll get in.
I think
you think so.
In. Yeah.
For the length of time he played,
he was a damn good backer for a while.
Yeah.
I mean, there are a lot of guys in front of him that are going to go in first. In my opinion, a lot of personalities, not just players, but coaches, front office people.
Probably.
Kevin Colbert, for example. They'll probably wait a while because he just retired.
What was the waiting period? You had to be out 3 years?
3 years.
Yeah, 3 years.
Yeah. Well, clearly he's done that, but all right. Well,
I don't know. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
I don't see him getting it. That's me.
Well, they always announce that during training camp. So,
yep. Hey, here's a question. Last year, I think the schedule came out on March 15th. I'm sorry, April 15th.
It's always after the draft.
It's after the draft. I want to say it's in 2 weeks.
Draft,
it's in 2 or 3 weeks. Somebody was talking about it on TV just the other day. I think it's like May 15th.
So May 15th,
something like that. Yeah.
All right.
Yep. And well, we know we don't have any international games, right?
I'm pretty sure
this year, but the Steelers are angling.
Yeah.
The Steelers are angling for a regular season.
George said he just saw a commercial for it, that it's in May. Okay. Thank you, sir.
There's the Steelers are angling for a regular season game in Ireland.
Oh, I think that's going to happen. I do
too. Whatever. Which is this would be the year we have the bonus game with the NFC.
No, we had it last year.
Is that no?
Away.
But we're away again this year?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. We had the extra home game last year.
Yeah.
Yep.
We did? I thought our extra game was in Seattle last year. Was I mistaken?
No, because we played the NFC West, remember?
Right.
Opened with the Niners. Played at the Rams.
Shit.
Yeah.
Okay. So it'll be one of those years because contractually they have to have 10 games at home, 2 preseason games and
right.
Right. And actually they don't even have the 2 preseason
Our
games.
extra game last season was Green Bay at home.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's right.
Okay. So
the Bears took the tackle from Yale.
Maybe next year.
So that basically takes the first 2 pages of tackles now off the board. I mean, that's just insane.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
I do like the idea of the Steelers playing in Ireland. Actually, I've said this before, I'll say it again, but if you're going to have 17 games, the best possible schedule format is to have 8 home, 8 away, and 1 neutral site game. Whether that neutral site is, an international game.
Jonah Ellis?
He is the son of Luther Ellis, longtime defensive end for the Lions. Pretty good player back in the 90s.
Interesting.
Yep.
Whether that's an international game, whether it's like the Steelers and Eagles play at Penn State or something like that, but I kind of feel like this 9 home, 8 away games is weird and awkward. That they're better off just doing. Everybody plays that 17th game as a neutral site game.
The story
awesome.
I read.
Yeah,
there was a story last week. I don't remember who put it out. One of the big networks, but that they're going to 18 games. It's not even a question. It's going to happen.
Oh, it's going to happen. I know.
Yeah,
but
they're going to go 2 bye weeks, and
it isn't just that they're going to go 2 bye weeks, and there's going to be a mandated game that every veteran player who has more than X number of years of service has to be given 1 game where he's inactive.
Right.
So the players are only going to play 17 games.
Yeah, I think that's,
and I think it's like 3 years of service or something And if a guy already has an injury game and he's been out, I think it's fine. But if he hasn't, you have to inactivate him for 1 game.
Right. And I think this is all building towards, one of those bye weeks will be off of an international game.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's coming, whether I like it or not. Doesn't matter.
Before, preferably.
Well, yeah. One way or the
other.
I
think what they should do is, they should have it in a neutral site, like Ian pointed out. And you could do it at Ohio State Stadium.
Yeah.
Or Michigan Stadium.
I'd be fine with that.
Like Browns Bengals at Ohio State would be kind of cool. Or
Minnesota Green Bay at
or the friggin' Rose Bowl, or all of these iconic stadiums where you've got history.
You could do like Saints Texans at LSU's, play a Sunday
in Baton Rouge. That would be badass.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, or playing like Austin, Texas, which is I think the biggest city that doesn't have a pro or a Big Four sports team.
Yeah.
And like my dream game, which I think will happen at some point, is Steelers Cowboys at Azteca in Mexico City, because
that'll happen. I agree with you.
The Steelers and Cowboys are the two biggest teams in Mexico, and it's going to happen at some point. And it would be, I just think it would be really cool.
Yeah. The last handful of times that the Cowboys have played there, they didn't like the turf, and they made a whole bunch of their marquee players sit.
Yeah, the grass has been very awful there.
Yeah.
Inconsistent, I guess.
Isn't that the game that the Chiefs and Rams put up over 100 points?
No.
Didn't they play in Mexico City?
I didn't think that was the Mexico City game. I thought they did put up over 100. There was one. I feel like it was Raiders Cardinals that was there that they actually moved because the turf conditions.
Yeah, that's true. But I could have swore they were in Mexico when they played that high scoring game. Maybe not.
Maybe they were. I don't know. Mexico is at least in the same time zones as the U.S.
Right. That
that it's a long flight, but it does help. I can't imagine. Let's talk about Deshaun Watson just went to Saudi Arabia, and they're making this big push to build the NFL's presence in Saudi Arabia.
Yep.
And I can't imagine trying to play a game there. You think the flights to London are bad and they screw up team schedules. That's what, 5 hours? Double that to Saudi Arabia. And the time
they're going to go all over Europe too. They're going to have games in Germany.
Germany's 6
or 7.
6, I think. Yeah, because Italy's 6. So it's not,
But I mean, that's 6 hours from the East Coast. What if you're the 49ers?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a long ass flight to begin with, but but I mean, look at here's the other thing though. Look at the European soccer games, right? You've got what's a noon game here on the East Coast is 5-6 o'clock game in Europe. So you start a game in prime time in Europe that's 7-8 o'clock there. It's basically a 1 o'clock game on the East Coast.
Yeah, there was a game here just last weekend that it was a 2:30 kick here, which meant it's 7:38 over there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Which it fits within kind of the regular schedule. Matrix, I'll say. It's not insanely different.
Another tackle off the board, Glaze out of Maryland again. This is a guy I had as a fifth. I'm like, what is happening here?
Hey, the more wide receivers that fall down the board.
This is great for us. Don't get me wrong.
Is good.
Man. This is great for us. I'm just dumbfounded by all these tackles.
Delmar Glaze.
Sounds like a new variety of donut.
The other one I wouldn't be surprised by would be seeing games
Texans
in Brazil.
Just traded up.
Because Brazil built all those brand new stadiums for when they hosted the World Cup, and they're sitting vacant now because they have nothing to use them for.
Well, they'll use one now. Eagles, Browns.
That's right. Yeah, but you're right. They are there this year.
Week one.
I'm almost surprised Brazil didn't happen sooner than this, just because that was what, 2014 World Cup.
Colts just traded up also.
Yeah. Two trades.
We got 2 trades. The Texans traded up with the Eagles, and the Colts just traded up with the Cardinals.
Interesting. I'll bet you it's receivers.
Bet it is.
Well,
no, maybe not.
What did Indy do already?
Did they take a running back? Were they one of the? Rattel just mentions that Frazier was the pick, even if JPJ had been there. I expect him to say that, to be honest, one way or the other, but that's fine. Either way, I don't,
I don't know if I believe that one way or the other.
I thought, me personally, I had JPJ just a little bit ahead of Frazier.
So did I.
It wasn't so much that I would throw a fit, and I'm not going to throw a fit. I think Frazier can be a really, really good player, but
Colts already took Adonai Mitchell, so I don't think
that's right. Okay, that's why.
Thank you guys in the chat. You guys are the best.
See, it's a good thing you guys are paying attention.
Yeah. That said about Frazier over JPJ, there was some injury questions with JPJ too. So
The concussions.
I mean, that's the
Concussion.
thing
Yeah.
none of us can ever know, right? That, all of everybody, even the quote unquote draft experts on Twitter that watch film all the time and post stuff, and, people that we respect and like, Derek, friend of the show,
Yep.
you can do all the tape analysis you want, but if somebody's medicals don't check out, that's not going to be public information. You're never going to know that. So, and that's really, like we talked about earlier, a lot of the work people do, teams do is getting good, making sure they have good medical information on these guys. So, and like we said, a lot of the first round visits of guys they bring in is to have the team doctors look at them and figure out, okay, is this guy's, medical history or is this injury a degenerative thing, or is it a is it a thing they can recover?
Do you guys know exactly what, and I'm guessing Scarps probably knows, but what exactly is the battery of things that these guys are put through? Because I mean, I can't imagine it's healthy for them to make 30 visits and get X-rayed every single time they go and MRI'd and everything else. I mean, so there's got to be a set, number of things that teams can do, isn't there? And then there's just a traveling set of let's say X-rays or MRI results.
Texans took Kalen Bullock. Safety out of
USC. Okay,
sure. As far as your question, Mark, I have no idea.
Yeah, I got to dig into that a little bit.
The Colts are on the clock.
How far away are we now?
We're like 4 or 5 picks away because we're at 84, right? And we're at 79 now with Arizona.
So
on the
79's in. No, the Colts took Arizona's pick, and so they just took Kalen Bullock, and so the Bungles are on the clock.
So there's plenty of wide receivers available for us here.
Yeah, there are.
The other thing to keep in mind, considering we have two third round
the
picks.
Colts just took the guy with the weird name, Matt Goncalves.
Oh,
from Pitt. Wow.
Unbelievable.
I thought he was like a 5th round pick.
He was. He's been a 5th rounder all the draft period, and now all of a sudden he's a 3rd rounder. Unbelievable what's going on here tonight.
These tackles are just flying off the
board.
Flying
off the board.
Yep.
I can't believe we got like
Bengals. The Bengals took Jermaine Burton Bama.
He's a frisky little wide receiver. Yep. Tough kid. He was originally at Georgia, then went to Bama. Yep.
Huh.
Yeah, there's a nice slew of guys.
The transfer portal sucks. I fucking hate it.
That's
Old man yells at cloud. But I can't stand it, man.
Literally me every day.
These kids just decide every day, like every year, they're like, I'm not getting enough playing time here, so I'm leaving.
But and look, isn't part of that the system though that allows them to do that? I mean,
it's 100%. That offensive tackle from Alabama, whose name escapes me right now, transferred to Iowa because they were raising NIL money for him. He took $100,000 in NIL money and then transferred back to Alabama.
How can that be? There's no way he could have legally taken that money.
The rules do not preclude him doing that.
I guess not.
I mean, he played a year for Iowa.
No, he didn't.
Okay. I thought he did. I thought he played a year for Iowa.
No. It was this offseason. He transferred to Iowa, took their money. He was supposed to get more than that, but the rest of it didn't come through. And he had a window where he could jump back into the transfer portal and be like, no, I've had some second thoughts. And he transferred back to Alabama.
Unbelievable.
He got $100,000 out of that.
I'll have to look about it.
Bert,
here's what I'll say.
The Bungles just took.
Yeah. So the transfer
Seahawks,
portal.
Hang on. Seahawks took Christian
You're
Haynes,
actually talking
and I'm done. Done. Seahawks took Christian Haynes.
Okay. So we're up in like 2 picks then.
Yep.
With some really good receivers. I mean, if Roman Wilson's there, I would absolutely take Roman Wilson. I have no qualms about that pick.
At this point, fuck yeah.
Yeah. But on the transfer portal stuff, like I completely agree that it's just out of control and ridiculous. And, kids seem like, they don't want to work or whatever, to try and earn a starting spot and just transfer to wherever. That said, players get recruited by coaches, and coaches can just go leave anytime they want to.
It's a big issue.
True.
And then, so like, if I was in charge, which I'm never going to be in charge of college football, but I would say, if your head coach, I would restrict it to head coaches. But I would say if your head coach leaves, then you're allowed to. You have a window where you can transfer to somewhere else.
And you do have that. And that should be there. I agree with you. And that is there now for players. They have an enhanced window if their coach leaves.
Right.
One of the things that Saban was talking about when he left Alabama, he's like, yeah, your backup running back walks up to you and he says, listen, you need to find me $50,000 or I'm leaving.
Yeah.
For a backup running back. And it's like,
and that was a big reason he left. He wasn't going to be held hostage by it. It was asked in the chat about 2 wide receivers in the 3rd round. Personally, I don't think so.
One in the 6th, but
yeah, I think that's more likely mid right now, and then one later. But
I don't necessarily think they're going to go 2 wide receivers. They just
I don't. I think it depends on which one they take first. And whether or not they really feel like they can deal for another one, I don't know. But this pick right here is kind of a toss-up, just simply because we've got the tackle, we've got the center. It seems like this is pretty destined to be.
What about McMillan?
A kid out of Washington.
Yeah.
Yep. They looked at him. Yep. And I know there's a lot of people that like him. I can see it. What do we got? Seahawks on the clock here.
Seahawks pick is in, and the Cardinals are on the clock. I don't know who the Seahawks have picked yet.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of good options here.
There are. Yeah. Let me see if I can find.
Yeah, I mean, I would not hate. A lot of people in the chat are saying Peyton Wilson. I would be totally fine with that pick. I would be totally fine with Roman Wilson, another Wilson.
Yeah,
but
Wilson.
Yeah, with Russell Wilson.
Shit, the sea of people that are in Detroit right now. Oh my God,
insane! It's insane. I can't believe Aaron survived. You know who's still available is this kid named TJ Tampa.
Yeah, a lot of people really liked him pre-draft, but we did like no work on him.
We didn't. He's got a lot of he's long.
Okay. The Cardinals took Tip Ryman.
Wow, in the 3rd round?
That's insane.
Yeah.
Oh my God. End. They took a blocking tight end in the 3rd round.
That's insane. The dude was easily a 7th round pick the entire process.
I had him as a 5 or a 6, but yeah, I agree with you. This is okay.
So besides Mr. Tampa, you still got the linebackers from NC State and NC still sitting out there. Jaden Hicks from the safety from Washington State. Jatavian Sanders, tight end from Texas, and then you got McMillan from Washington, Blake Corum.
I don't think they go running back here. I think it's wide receiver or corner. Well, wide receiver, corner, or linebacker. I think just because of the quality of linebackers available. Linebacker is not a big need, but the quality is so high.
You have a good point.
The
quality is high.
Brendan Rice, Jerry Rice's kid, still sitting there.
Wow, I feel old that Jerry Rice's kid is in the draft.
I don't know if you guys saw that. They showed him. With Jerry Rice, they were in the house watching the beginning of tonight's broadcast. I could not believe how much bigger his son is than he is. I mean, Jerry was never a big guy, but his son has got to have him by 25, 30 pounds at least.
That's wild.
Huh.
And you know, and just, yeah, it was weird.
My oldest is taller than my wife now. That's kind of crazy.
Oh, that's always a special moment when that happens.
Yeah. And my wife's not short. She's like 5'6", 5'7", somewhere in there. So like he's shot up. He just turned 13.
You're pretty tall.
Yeah, you're very tall too.
I'm 6'3", yeah. So
your kid's gonna be tall.
Yeah. I went from like 5'5" at the beginning of 7th grade to 5'10" at the beginning of 8th grade.
Oh, that's a bit of a spurt.
Yes,
that must have been painful.
Well, the thing was, so the only like sport or activity that my grade school had was basketball, and like I was terrible at basketball and just was like on the end of the bench. Then all of a sudden I'm like the tallest kid there in 8th grade, and they're like, "Oh, maybe we should have taught Ian how to shoot 2 years ago so that we could play him now." But yeah,
so, skills are good.
Skills are good, yeah. But I was always like we'll put you in when it's the end of the 4th quarter and the game's by like 40 points or whatever,
God.
So like I never got to play. They never even got to practice. I was just there, and and I was like, oh yeah, see, you guys should have taught me how to shoot. That would have been good for you, huh? So yeah.
They're letting this is pretty good. Clifford says they're letting everyone make the picks now. I hope the lady from Primanti's picks ours at 84.
She's amazing. I just was down there. We went to a concert on Sunday night and went to Primanti's in the Strip. Actually, by the way, I did not know this.
Curse you, Aaron. They better not go Dino Tomlin.
I did not know this, but Primanti's in the Strip had a like buy a sandwich get a second for $1 deal on Sunday like afternoon evenings.
You're kidding?
So, no, we bought 2 sandwiches and the bill was like $10, and I was like, "Are you kidding me? What is going on here?"
Fantastic, good for Primanti's.
The
Cardinals took who?
In the clock. The Rams took Blake Corum.
Cardinals or Rams?
Rams took Blake Corum.
Wow. Okay.
Cardinals took a Tip. We talked about this.
Tip Riemann.
Yep.
Yeah.
Ryman, Illinois tight end.
We're probably on the clock.
Basically on the clock.
We're up. We're almost. Yeah, we're on the clock right now.
If Aaron would have stuck it out, he would be
Corum.
able to tell us. But he's on his way home.
Yeah, he would. But he was a bitch about it and had to leave because his kid had to take a piss.
Right.
Hey, I've been there, done that. I understand.
Yeah, that figures.
Yeah. All right, so
Steelers are going Dino Tomlin.
I'll throw it
Roman
out there.
Wilson,
This
Troy
has got to be a
Franklin.
wide receiver.
There's so many good wide receivers here.
I think it's Wilson or McMillan. That's what I'm going to
get. There's some corners left though, too, guys.
There are.
Yeah. I think corner is thinner than wide receiver. I mean, considering we've got 2 picks coming up here, right? We've got 84 and we've got 98.
But you kind of have to look at where your best value is at this point. Like, are you going to get a greater impact out of that wide receiver because he's a better caliber player than you would the corners that are available right now? I'm just thinking out loud. I don't know.
Right. Yeah. Right. No, I think it's a good conversation to have.
They could honestly probably take 2 wide receivers here in the 3rd round and both of them be major impact players at like their number 2 and number 3. But yeah.
I'm really curious about the Tampa kid because I saw him as early or as recently as last week potentially being late 1st, high 2nd, and
I thought he was like a high 2nd, but
and he is just dropping like a stone. I wonder if
we did no work on him.
I'm not necessarily saying for us. I just am surprised overall he hasn't been selected. I mean, it's just weird.
We sent nobody to Iowa State's pro day. He wasn't at any of the. He wasn't at the Senior Bowl. He wasn't at the Shrine Bowl.
Okay, Steelers are officially on the clock.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, they take their fucking time. Oh, shit. No, wait a minute. This says the Steelers just drafted Pitt tackle Matt Gong.
What?
No, we didn't. No.
He's already gone.
He's gone. No.
Yeah.
So Aaron Wilson has that wrong.
Isn't he the Ravens guy? He's probably being a dick.
No, Steelers are on the clock. Yeah, no, I think he fucked that up. He's going to delete that tweet, I hope.
Yeah.
Because that guy's already gone.
Yeah. He's gone.
What? How do you say his name? Goncalves? Goncalves?
I think it's Gonclaves.
I thought it was Gonclaves, but
it's Calves.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like I thought it was like Brett Favre, but
Favre.
You know, yeah, instead of being what it should be, it's not. I don't know. I didn't take in a lot of Pitt football.
So Mark did not want the pick spoiled for him when we took Zach Frazier. Mark, do you want this pick spoiled or not?
Yes.
If you're getting it, then go ahead. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm just refreshing Twitter a whole bunch. So.
Okay, that's fine.
Me too.
I'm not.
Roman Wilson, baby.
Roman Wilson. Yeah.
Roman Wilson.
Right. I love that pick. That is
excellent.
That is
all right.
Yes.
I'll take it.
That is a great pick.
I will take it.
I will too.
Yes.
Aaron was wrong, I guess.
Aaron totally wrong. Aaron will now be rooting for a Michigan guy.
He said Roman 3 minutes ago.
Yeah, well, he's
Aaron, Mark. I think
no. Aaron said
Mark
it.
needs to buy Aaron Roman Wilson.
A Roman Wilson jersey. I will get on dhgate.com immediately. Hope he sucks, Aaron. Come on.
Shut the fuck up, Aaron.
He's not wearing the winged helmet anymore.
For those listening, Aaron is an Ohio State fan. So Aaron, he was our guy on the scene tonight in Detroit and is driving back to the godforsaken state of Ohio now with his family.
There's something in that Ohio water that just fucks people up.
Yeah.
So Mark, here's the question though. Do you buy Aaron a Roman Wilson jersey or do you buy it in kid sizes so he can have one of his kids wear it?
Well, no, I'd be afraid his kid would be spotted peeing on it. Like he was with the Fields
player
jersey.
I didn't want. Why didn't you want Roman Wilson?
Yeah, what's wrong with Wilson? I can think of about 10 other Michigan players I wouldn't want.
Wilson, at this point left in the draft, Wilson might be the most well-rounded receiver available.
He blocks his ass off. He's good over the middle. I mean,
he can play out of the slot. You could stick him outside.
He can play inside, outside. Yeah.
I think there's still room. If you want to, you go find a really true number 2 guy. I think at some point as well.
Yeah. He's got good hands. He's got 4.3 speed, which I didn't see that on tape, and then he ran a 4.3 at the combine, and I was like, "Oh my gosh!"
It's funny. They talk about guys that have like football speed. They don't test well, but yet they pull away from guys in football. He's like the opposite of that.
Yeah,
he breaks away, but then he gets caught. You know what I mean? And I don't. Yeah. I don't know, but
the opposite of Hines Ward. That Hines Ward had a really slow 40, but then outran D'Angelo Hall with one shoe on. Remember that in Atlanta? That is my last. Hines Ward is my favorite Steeler ever.
Yeah,
but that's my lasting memory of him. That he lost his shoe and outran D'Angelo Hall, the fastest guy in the league, to the end zone. I'm like, that is game speed. That is. I just want this more than you, and I'm just gonna run faster than you. I don't care if I have 2 shoes on or not.
I concur.
I'm thrilled. This draft it's fallen very well for us.
It has
Fautanu in the first, and then Frazier in the second, and Roman Wilson. I couldn't have picked a better draft.
No,
so far. Excuse me.
George believes that Omar is a wizard. You know what, George? I'm okay with that. If he's a wizard, so be it. He is the con artist. By the way, guys, we got to think of some T-shirts to send to Dan now. We've got 3 new players. I wonder if these guys got nicknames.
They're not sexy players so far. I mean,
No,
Wilson's
no,
the first, like sexy pick they've made, and okay, whatever.
Right.
Well, maybe we'll have Russell Wilson throwing to Roman Wilson. So there's
maybe they'll say something provocative, and we can feed off of that. I don't know.
I liked Zach Frazier's quotes about
church?
Steel Son chiming in here.
I liked Zach Frazier's quote.
Great pick, he said,
about
where
being gritty and
he in the chat
line being.
No, he texted me.
Oh, okay. Tell him to fucking tune into the goddamn show and text us here.
Yeah, he's got things to do. I don't know what he's doing. He's busy, man.
What's he possibly have to do that's more important than this?
I don't know. He's in college. What would you think?
I don't know. Get somebody pregnant. Knock somebody up.
For the love of God, don't say such a thing. Yeah, it's the last thing I need. Omar is the biggest wizard or the biggest upgrade for the Steelers. You know what? Look, the very possibility exists that all three of these guys don't pan out. Let's be honest. But right now,
shut up, Mark.
Today, they look fantastic. And just like
and
last year's group,
we needed a good draft. We needed another good draft, and we need one more. And then really what the Steelers have to do is answer the quarterback question. Like, do they have a guy in Justin Fields who can watch Russell Wilson for a year and pick up enough between the ears for the light bulb to finally go on and him to make good decisions in the field? Because again, Russell Wilson's physical ability is not in question. The dude is amazing. Physically, he's a stud, but he makes really, really bad decisions.
You mean Justin Fields?
Sorry, excuse me. Yes, Justin Fields. I've been drinking. Yeah. We've had some drinks. So, yeah, they got to answer the quarterback question, and they need one more good draft. And if that happens, so far this draft, I mean, shit, I got to give them an A+.
I do too.
I really do. I mean, yeah, you don't really grade a draft for 3 years, I know. But so far,
that's our rule.
Based upon the information we had today, this is a really nice draft class. Again, last year, really nice draft class.
Yep.
If they get one more really nice draft class next year, they're a competitor.
I mean, would you say right now that the Pittsburgh Steelers have drafted 3 guys who are going to see significant minutes?
Yes. Frazier is going to start week 1.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fautanu is probably going to compete to be the starter week 1 in camp at right tackle. Who he's competing with, I don't know. If I'm Pat Meyer, I'm moving Jones back to left tackle.
Yes.
And I'm doing the switch off thing. He and Dan Moore can kind of compete, sort of, quote unquote.
Not a competition.
Not really a competition.
Yeah.
And Fautanu can compete with somebody at the right spot. Had a conversation with an idiot today on Twitter who told me that, the typical shit. They love this guy. Dan Moore is going to play every snap at left tackle. You wait and see. And then they're going to extend him. I'm like, dude, shut the fuck up. Jesus Christ.
No, I don't see that.
And he writes for a Steelers site. I won't say which one, but he does.
Well, okay.
He's a dipshit.
So, Aaron, if you're still listening, I have some good news for you. The Cleveland Browns took Zach Zinter. So if you want to hate a guy from Michigan, you can now hate Zach Zinter forever.
Right. Yeah,
which actually is unfortunately a decent pick because Zinter's a pretty good guard.
Yeah, there's a little mini run on the Michigan guys as they thought there would be here.
Yeah.
There weren't a lot of high-end Michigan players, just a lot of mid-level, so that's not surprising. Niners on the clock here. Yeah. So where do the Steelers go next?
I think corner's probably the biggest position of need, but honestly, there's so many good linebackers here, like Cedric Gray from North Carolina, Peyton Wilson.
Yep.
Like if you told me you could have a guy with Peyton Wilson's tape at 98, like I'm kind of like I'd take the risk on that. Like,
yeah,
it's the 98th overall pick, and
Eagles traded down again.
Yeah.
Holy
another tackle got taken. Dominic, or is that defensive tackle?
Is that Pooney?
That's
no,
Pooney.
He's offensive tackle.
Yeah, my
Kansas.
gosh, that's crazy. But yeah, George, I agree. TJ Tampa, if you can get him. And to the other question about Justin Fields, if it's me, and I'm not the GM of the Steelers, I am not Omar Khan, as much as I would love to be the GM of the Steelers.
You have more hair than he does.
I do, just a little bit. But I would offer Justin Fields basically the same deal that Jordan Love got from the Packers, which was a very low, basically veteran minimum year one deal. I think Love was on like a $1 or $2 million deal for the first year, and then there was a big escalator the second year to like 20 million. So it was basically a 1 year kind of prove it deal. They could cut him and save money, but if he played well, then we're going to keep him and probably sign him to a massive extension, or pay him starter money in year 2. So that's where I would be looking with Fields. That said, if Russell Wilson comes in and plays competent football, like I could see the Steelers signing him to like a 3-year contract or something like that. So that's not out of the question. I'm just saying, like I could see Russell Wilson being here for 3 or 4 years, maybe not longer than that, given his age, but I could see him being here for a few years.
I mean, pick is in. I'm just pumping out the latest player card from Aaron here.
Aaron is driving and making.
Well, no, he's in the shotgun. His brother's driving.
Still, he's riding in a car on his phone making graffics for us.
Oh,
Aaron,
he's a graphics guru, man.
Cowboys took linebacker Marist Liu Fao.
Yeah,
I don't know him.
Wait a minute.
He
went in the 3rd round.
Yes.
Holy shit! I mean, he was like 6th, 7th round on everything I saw. Unbelievable.
Yeah. The other name I'll throw out here, which might be a little off the board, but Mason McCormick, guard from South Dakota State. He was at the Shrine Bowl, and I think Tomlin went there, and he came in for a pre-draft visit. And, small school guy, but he's got some upside, and kind of I feel like McCormick at this point is a guy you could bring in, let him learn from Sayamalu, and then maybe eventually take over when Sayamalu's contract is up. That, I wouldn't hate that pick at this point. Like, that's another one of those, like, the talent is there. So if you want to take him, if he's the best player left on your board, then you absolutely take him.
Well,
so just throwing that name out there is another point of conversation.
Roman Wilson quote on expectations this year. The reason they took me is they expect me to come in and play and win games. That's what I intend to do.
Yeah.
Well, that's better than, well, this sucks. Yeah. Yeah. Adobe Express for the win, says Aaron. Yeah.
So Roman Wilson is the first player they've picked this year that did not come in for a pre-draft visit. But, I mean, like we talked about, right?
Senior Bowl.
Senior Bowl.
Pro Day.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, they had lots of contact with him throughout the process. And, this is a good pick for us. He's got
a really interesting story. He played high school football in Hawaii at the same place that the Herbig brothers did, if I remember correctly.
Oh,
and he, the story is, if I read this correctly, he actually would fly some of his high school classes. He had to fly from one island to another.
Oh my goodness.
Just because of high school. It's pretty unbelievable, all to go to school and to play football.
Yeah. So now that we've addressed our 3 major needs on the offensive side of the ball with tackle, center, and wide receiver,
Yeah, I think this is corner or DL.
I think this is a defensive pick. I think it's corner, defensive line,
defensive tackle or corner, and hopefully there's a good slot corner they can pull. I'm just hoping.
Yeah. Who's left as far as corners go? Let me look at that. I mean,
the Packers just took Marshawn Lloyd,
running back from USC.
Correct.
Didn't they just sign? What's his name from the Raiders?
Did the kid from Texas go yet?
Yes, he did. He was the first running back taken.
Okay. Yep. Because I knew the Cowboys were pretty high on him.
You know who hasn't gone yet is Will Shipley
from Clemson.
Yeah, he was thought to be one of the first running backs off the board.
Yeah. All right. So TJ Tampa, good size, long and lanky. Cam Hart from Notre Dame.
Yep.
Another guy.
Spice Creations.
Hello, Spice Creations. I don't
that is an interesting name.
But it is.
I would love Peyton Wilson here. That would be, It seems like there's a lot of. I'll say there's a lot of tall and long corners. So tall guys with long arms, right?
Yeah.
TJ Tampa, Cam Hart, Kyrie Jackson from Oregon. So I mean, maybe if you want a slot guy like Kalen Carson from Wake Forest, but like I don't love Kalen. I watched some clips of him and I was like, he's okay, but I don't love him.
Right.
They spent no time at all in TJ Tampa. Let me see Cam Hart from Notre Dame. What notes do I have on him? All right, he was at the Senior Bowl, and they at least sent a scout, Dan Colbert, to his pro day. So, okay, they've done a little work on Cam Hart. Kyrie Jackson from Oregon. Kyrie Jackson was also at the Senior Bowl. They sent
Buccaneers took Tyke Smith.
Ooh, Georgia DB.
Correct.
Another safety?
Yes, Dwight. I had to stretch 2.5 hours last night, 2.5 hours tonight. I had to move, man. I had to move.
I can't believe, Mark, you've been on for 2.5 hours tonight. That's crazy.
Yeah. I'm a marathon man.
Mark has done 5 hours of
5 hours of podcasting.
5 hours of
probably
podcasting
kill me
in
later.
2 days. Yeah.
Yeah, that's all right. Hey, it's all good. This is great. This is absolutely hilarious.
My wife was not happy. I told her I was going to podcast again tonight, but no, this is fun. I've always wanted to do a day 2 podcast. This is fun.
Yeah, it worked out perfectly. Yeah. It's good. And as soon as 5 hours of whiskey, I moved to the light beer very quickly, Clifford. For that purpose in general.
That they're not
hey, T-Pain, slow down. That was a great line.
That was amazing. Are you on a boat?
Wish you had super chats. What is super chats? Help me out, man. We're old. I don't know this stuff.
Yeah,
super chats.
I cannot believe all you guys are still in the chat with us. Like, you guys were here last.
Yeah, don't you have things to do?
2.5 hours. 2.5 hours tonight. Like, this is amazing. Like, we love you guys.
Okay.
I started blogging like just because I was in grad school at the time, and my then fiance, now wife, was like sick of hearing me talk about the Steelers all the time. So I was like, I'll just write down my thoughts on the internet. I don't care if anyone like reads my stuff or whatever. And then, my own little personal blog kind of took off, and these guys were like, hey, you should come write for us. And I was like, yes, this sounds amazing. So and now we're podcasting, and I'm like, I can't believe people care.
And here we are several years later.
I know.
All this time still later. Here. Right. But it continually amazes me like how much engagement we get and how much people care about what we have to say. And I'm like, it's so cool. Like I love you guys. You're amazing.
Okay. So Andrew and George have been educating me here. I wonder if that's something you got to do when you hit 5. You can do when you hit 500 subscribers. We're closing in on 400.
I just appreciate the it isn't so much the interaction. I love that the fans bring us.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's honestly, you guys ask a lot of really good questions.
Yeah.
We
have an educated group.
It gives us a lot of fodder for conversation, and we can feed off of it. And that part of it I love. I love more than anything.
Yeah.
And I appreciate the fact that you appreciate us. That's awesome. But you show up and you give us a lot of fodder for the show. I mean, and
right.
Honestly, without all of you, this show wouldn't be what it is.
Nope. No, it is. It's far better with our
4 guys sitting around talking about, the Steelers by themselves after drinking, which is basically what it started out as.
Right.
Paid his
messages. Well, there was a time when this was actually like a serious program. And then way back.
Oh, the Cardinals took Elijah Jones. I liked him out of Boston College, cornerback. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. That's actually, I like him too. Fuck, man.
Yep.
Yeah.
There is a kid, Jarvis, out of Louisville, I think.
Jones?
No, for God's sakes.
Storm Duck.
Brownlee. I think it's Brownlee.
Okay.
I liked some of his tape. Let me refresh my.
Yeah, he was at the Senior Bowl.
98.
Yeah.
Louisville also has a corner named Storm Duck, which might be the best name in the draft.
Well, what about what's the linebacker from Ohio State? Steel Chambers or something like that?
Yes. So Andrew asked for whiskey suggestions other than Redemption Rye. Tonight I'm actually drinking rum on the rocks, which I don't usually do, but this Mount Gay rum from Barbados. One of my good friends honeymooned in Barbados and brought me back a bottle of it, and I was like, wow, this is really, really good. So yeah, but
I guess it leaves you feeling quite happy.
Way to go, Mark. But also but yeah, Redemption, anything from Redemption is great. And I'm a cost benefit drinker, so like Redemption Rye, Redemption Bourbon, Redemption High Rye Bourbon, if you find it on sale,
really good.
You can probably get it for like around $30. Yeah, exactly. Yep. You can get that for like around $30.
Redemption High Rye is good shit. If you can find it,
it's not easy to find.
Yeah, it's not. It's good stuff. That's all.
I obviously we highly recommend Bradshaw bourbon.
Oh yes, obviously we are big fans of the Bradshaw bourbon.
And it is good shit. It is.
It's not so just good, because it's his. It's actually good.
It's
really good whiskey.
Yeah.
I bought a bottle for a friend at work, and he's already polished it off and is asking.
I like a little bit of water in it, or a single ice cube.
Yes, an ice cube is perfect. Old Granddad comes in with Dwight. Okay, all right.
No, I'm going to disagree with that.
Okay, I haven't tried it, so I have not.
I do like the Wild Turkey 101. I think that's a good value.
Good. Yeah.
The Old Granddad is not good.
What about the Buffalo Trace?
Buffalo Trace is great for the price.
Yeah,
but it's not great whiskey.
Right,
would be all I would say about that.
If you're willing to spend like $75 on a bottle of whiskey, get Redbreast Irish whiskey.
It's terrific.
It's amazing.
It's not that expensive here,
but maybe Redbreast 60.
But Redbreast in the 50s or 60s here.
Yeah, it's pricey.
And granted, I usually buy it on sale. It's about $50. But Redbreast Irish whiskey, the 12-year, which is the lower.
It's so
tier.
smooth. It's incredible.
It's amazing. Yeah, that's like usually between 50 and 65 here. Basil Hayden makes
I've got a dark rye upstairs.
A dark rye.
Ooh,
yeah, the one you suggested. I found it.
Absolutely delicious.
Yeah, I will crack that soon.
It is absolutely amazing. You're going to love it.
Okay. I also like Jefferson's. Like
I do like rare breed. Rare breed is good shit.
Yeah. If you like Woodford Reserve but don't want to pay Woodford Reserve prices, get Jefferson's, which is like kind of similar but not as expensive.
Jefferson, what is the one they do where they talk about they put it out to sea to age it?
Yeah.
That's a really good whiskey.
Like it's really good, yeah.
I'm not like, it's not super expensive, but it's really, really tasty.
Yeah.
I'm a fan. Well, and even this stuff I showed you guys before.
Bernheim.
Bernheim's wheated whiskey. It's wheat whiskey.
Dwight's right. It's called Oceans, I think, isn't it?
Oceans, exactly.
Stuff from Jefferson. Yeah.
The Bernheim's wheated whiskey is really, really nice, and it's about usually $30 or $35. It's not bad.
Yeah.
No.
Mad Dog 2020, for the love of God.
We're not in college anymore.
I was gonna say I'm not in college, man.
I mean, the night train is lovely too, but I haven't done that for a long time either.
Grab a 40 of Mickey's while I'm at it.
Oh my God, that shit!
When
I tried to drink one of those, like when I was in my early 30s. Nostalgically, just tried to open one and drink. I was like, oh my God, I used to drink these things. Oh, fuck.
Glenlivet. What's George?
Glenlivet's good.
Glenlivet, yeah.
I really like Scotch, but the problem is that I'm like, I can pay $60 for a Scotch and get a comparably good bourbon for $30.
Right.
And so I'm like, I'm just gonna buy the bourbon.
20.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you can get a really nice bottle of bourbon. You can get a really, really nice bottle of bourbon for $50. If you want a comparable bottle of Scotch, it's $150.
Yeah, because the stupid import prices are so much.
So Dwight mentions Evan Williams, Hall of Famer Rick, great friend of the show. He introduced us back in the fall, 2 years ago, I think, at the Renegade tailgate to some Evan Williams apple. I think it was.
Oh, that sounds awful.
Well, I'll tell you what, it was wonderful after the game because it was nice and warm. And it was literally, as they say, warm apple pie.
Nice kind of and thing. Warm.
Yes, and because it was cold. We were there in a late November game. My daughter and I.
Elijah Jones.
Yeah, they took Elijah Jones. Green Bay took a linebacker out of Missouri, Mr. Hopper.
We're up in like Dennis. 5 picks.
The Rats.
What's that?
The Rats were on the clock. How did that work out?
Yeah.
Rats, isn't it? Tampa already picked.
The Ratbirds were on the clock. No, Tampa took Jalen McMillan.
Yeah. I also, if
another Michigan guy.
If you want a cheap but good whiskey, I really like Old Overholt as well.
Yeah, you guys have mentioned that one several times.
The bonded Old Overholt is really nice whiskey.
Yeah. Okay. And it's made. It was originally made in Scottsdale, Pennsylvania, on the family farm of Henry Clay Frick.
Holy frick!
Yeah. Four Roses is good too, George. Good call.
Yeah, Four Roses is excellent.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a very good one.
I wouldn't say that that Four Roses is a great value for the price, but it's good. I think that Buffalo Trace is a better value. Oh no, Four Roses is good. I don't think you don't get it. You're still paying a kind of a premium price, where with Buffalo Trace, you're not paying a great deal of money. Mm-hmm. I'll tell you, there's a kind of a quote unquote boutique whiskey called Corner Creek. It's Kentucky whiskey, and they put it in recycled wine bottles, white wine bottles, and it's got a really nice vanilla finish, and it's inexpensive. It's usually, I don't know, $25, $29 here.
Okay,
it's nice whiskey. Y'all like it.
Bill Evitz comes on the show every once in a while in the chat. He lives in Kentucky, right by all the breweries. I'll ask him if he's got a
Rats pick is in. Don't know who it is. Eagles are on the clock.
So just so everybody knows, once the Steelers make their next pick here in the third, we'll break it down a little bit, and then that'll be it for tonight, as it'll be over 3 hours. And yeah, well, anyway, we need to get some of you kids off to bed. But just
like
me. So yeah,
it's almost 8 o'clock here.
Bedtime. You out there in Portland,
yeah. Yeesh.
Wait,
do we have a
Buffalo Trace in South Carolina is $65?
Holy jeez! Wow,
it's like 25 or 29 here.
Yeah, what? Yeah, what's going on there?
Wow, Dwight, those wow. Are those outrageous. ABC stores down in South Carolina? My family has vacationed in North Carolina forever, so I'm like, oh, it's the ABC store in North Carolina, but I have no idea what it is in South Carolina.
What is an ABC store?
I don't know. Like
that's the name of it?
It's the name of it. Okay. Yeah, it's like because in Pennsylvania it's like Fine Wine and Good Spirits, which is the like state store, that sells all the whiskey because it's
the Eagles took Jalix Hunt.
Yeah, he is an edge kid from a very small school. I believe it's Houston Baptist or something. He was thought to be one of the higher rated small school players. And so I don't think anybody will be surprised he went in the third. That was kind of where a lot of people had him pegged. Who did the Ravens end up taking?
The Rats?
They're on the clock now, I think.
Oh, because I thought the Eagles had just taken.
The pick is in. So the Eagles, I had the Eagles pick for Jalix Hunt, but I don't have the Rats pick.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah.
Tell me about it. Bizarre. So Rats pick?
Yeah.
Hasn't been reported.
Oh, T-Pain is back.
Wah, wah. Oh, geez. Now we're getting like slow motion Ben up there in the corner.
Yeah. All right. Let's see who Baltimore took. Let's see if Twitter can tell me. The Ravens took Adisa Isaac from Penn State.
Edge rusher. Yep.
Pretty athletic kid.
Yeah. Yep.
Penn State. I don't understand Penn State players. Like they test insanely well at the combine and in all these athletic tests, but
then they can't beat Michigan or Ohio State.
Penn State's a program that's like a top 15 but not top 5 program. Like they can't beat anyone really good,
right?
But they beat all the teams they're supposed to.
But don't most of the Penn State faithful say that's all on Franklin? He just can't take the next step.
Yeah. It's like the rap on Bill Cowher before he won the Super Bowl, right? He couldn't win the big game, right? Like that's the rap on Franklin. Like he beats the teams he's supposed to beat, but then can't beat anyone good. So they're like not good enough to be a contender, but like they're good enough to win 10 games every year. Which it's not the worst thing as a college program.
No.
I mean, but every once in a while, if you're a Penn State fan, you'd like to beat Ohio State.
Well, but the other thing too now is, I mean, that'll get them in the playoff.
Yeah, they might get in the playoff now. Yeah, that is true. But yeah, the other thing with these Penn State guys is like they always test insanely well at the combine, but then you look at their stats and it's like this guy had 4 sacks this year, and you're like, how does he have like a sub 7-second 3-cone drill, which is like the best predictor for edge rushers, and only have 4 sacks in college? Like what is going on?
Right.
So yeah, for some reason they produce these insanely athletic kids that don't have the numbers, but yeah, and it's like year after year with these edge rushers from Penn State. But that's a fairly decent pick for Baltimore, as much as I hate to admit it.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah. So who are we? Who's left here?
Dwight said Halati Noga had his kids scream Steelers suck. Well, that's highly inappropriate at the draft. Dick. I had respect for Halati Noga, even a little bit, but not anymore.
He was a really good player.
He was a great player.
As much as I hate the Ravens, like I remember all those games against Baltimore, whether it was Rashard Mendenhall or Willie Parker or whatever, like sitting at those games, and it's like, why do they keep running to Nada's side? And then it was like, oh wait, no, they're running the other way, and he's that good that he gets over there and makes the tackle. And it's like, oh, gain of 1 tackle by Nada.
And this is something that Ben and I have talked about, and I know we've all talked about. But that's the difference. Baltimore, I obviously I hate being a Steelers fan, but I have respect for them. Whereas like Cleveland, no, I don't. I'm sorry, I don't. I have no respect for them.
Yeah.
Bengals, no, I don't have any respect for them. But I do the Bengals, or excuse me, I do the Ravens. So. I don't like that.
The Ravens have unfortunately actually won something and put together good teams. And I always feel like rivalries are better when it's two really good teams going head to head, because you have meaningful games, right? Like you have games with the division title on the line. You have playoff games. You have AFC championship games against each other, right? Like how many Ben's sort of maybe not here right now, but how many Duke North Carolina games have had the ACC title on the line, or how many times have Duke and North Carolina met in the ACC tournament, right? Like they're games that it's not just that they're Duke and North Carolina. I said dork. Duke and North Carolina are 8 miles apart and they hate each other, but and even Ohio State and Michigan, right? Like how many times have Ohio State and Michigan played with the Big Ten, whatever it is, East Division title on the line now, where it's like the winner goes to the Big Ten championship game? That like rivalries are better when both teams are good and you're playing meaningful games. Like the Pittsburgh-Cleveland rivalry was a joke for so long because Cleveland sucked, and it was like, well, yeah, it's kind of our rivals, but also they suck, so we just kind of expect to beat them. But it's like their Super Bowl because they care more about beating us than they do about any other game this year. Right. Cleveland could go 2-14 if their 2 wins were against the Steelers. They felt like it was a successful season.
Yep.
Whereas Baltimore, it's like, no, like Baltimore expected to be in the playoffs and be a competitor, and so did we. So like they were actual, adversaries for what our end goal was too.
Yep. Nope. That's perfectly said, and that kind of sums it up for me too. That's just the way I've always approached it with Baltimore. So very difficult, very disappointed in Mr. Nada tonight.
Yeah. But like Mark, you're a Michigan fan, right? Like if Ohio State was, 2-9 going into the Michigan game, you would enjoy it. You would think it was hilarious, but you would also be like, this game doesn't really mean anything. Like Michigan's probably got 8 or 9 or 10 wins by this point. And, it's kind of like, okay, it's a rivalry game, but like they suck versus whereas like if both teams are undefeated, or if, both teams are 11-1, it means a lot more.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I admittedly, I am so much further away from, my Michigan fandom than I was as a kid, just because of the time that I've invested into the Steelers, which I thoroughly love and don't regret one bit. But yeah, you're right. Blowing into the cartridge.
Wow,
damn it, Tecmo Bowl
tonight.
By the way, it was kind of funny tonight.
I did just move my router.
Oh, okay. All right.
I did just move my router. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah. You were coming definitely across there like T-Pain. Let's see. Yeah, there's still some really good value. You still got Wilson, you got Gray, Hicks, got the tight end sitting there. I know Aaron's pushing for Stover from Ohio State. I don't see that at this point. Man, there's
a lot of good players still available.
Bungles are on the
Mekhi Wingo from LSU is still there. The Abrams Drain kid, CB from Missouri. I don't know how much they looked at him. Kyrie Jackson's a DB out of Oregon. Jeremiah Trotter, the linebacker, still there. I mean, there's.
Yeah. I feel like if you go linebacker here, you almost have to go either Peyton Wilson or Cedric Gray.
Yeah. Well, didn't Aaron Curry went to North Carolina's pro day? I think.
I believe he did. Yeah. Yeah, and Wingo out of LSU, since you mentioned him, that was the only pro day that Andy Weidel went to. Yes. And Carl Dunbar also was at LSU's pro day. So they definitely took a look at those LSU defensive linemen.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why I think those are, or he is a real possibility here.
Yeah. And we do need depth there. I mean, there's definitely a need.
Well, we do. I mean, you Ogunjobi could go down at any time. Mm-hmm. We know Cam's situation. Obviously, Keanu had a great year last year.
You got three guys at defensive line really right now, and you need one more because Cam and Lario are both older guys. I mean,
Loudermilk's been disappointing.
Lario's not old, but he's injury prone.
Yes,
at this point.
That's what I mean. He's always one away. I guess we all are, but
I mean, the dude practiced 1 day a week last year.
Yeah.
You know who else has disappointed me is DeMarvin Leal. I was really high on that pick
huge.
When we took him.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is a make or break year for him.
Yeah. And he just hasn't fleshed out into anything. And I know he's been injured a few times, but it just hasn't been anything there. So but you're right. I mean, I feel like we've got three defensive linemen and then guys who are just guys that are kind of as a baseball term, replacement level players, right?
Yes. Have the Jags made a pick yet?
Yeah, they have, but I have no idea who it is. The Bengals are on the clock.
Okay. I'm just trying to watch the feed here.
What?
The thing with Leal is he kind of got pushed into service kind of quickly. If you remember when TJ Watt got hurt,
but he
looked
him
as
that was one of the reasons I was excited about the guy. I was like, okay, if this guy's going to play 5-tech and he's got that kind of quicks off the line, I'm okay with this. This is going to be good.
Yep.
And then Watt got healthy and he wasn't getting reps, and it was like, what the fuck? What happened?
And Leal was always kind of that tweener.
So the Jaguars took Jerry and Jones.
Yep.
Yeah.
Another cornerback.
So Twitter is saying that the Steelers took Peyton Wilson.
Twitter saying that?
Twitter is saying
you know what? I don't hate it. I don't.
That happens. I mean, I haven't even seen the Bengals pick yet. They are still on the clock.
Right. That's the weird thing.
I mean, like I said, I said this a half hour ago.
Okay, the Steelers are on the clock now. Pick us in.
Okay. If you can get a guy with Peyton Wilson's talent at number 98, that's worth the risk.
Yeah. I mean,
it's absolutely worth the risk.
It is. The nice thing with it is you don't have to bring him in right away.
Yeah.
You don't have to say, hey, man, we got a lot riding on you because and does it also suggest that Holcomb is still a ways away? And they said Holcomb's injury could be, unfortunately, career-threatening too.
Yeah, they're not sure if he's going to be able to be ready for camp.
Well, and I think both. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry. He can run in a straight line right now, but they're not sure about his ability to be able to change direction.
Right. Yeah, I don't even think they want him doing that yet.
When
Bengals took McKinley Jackson.
Defensive tackle from A&M. He's a guy I thought we'd look at.
We are officially.
I don't know why Abrams' drain is falling. He was a guy relatively well thought of.
I think that Aaron liked him a lot, and that's probably why he fell.
Yeah, more than likely. Ran into Holcomb at Sheets today.
We're
getting some Sheets in Michigan.
Yeah, the other thing too, so sorry, I'm reading Twitter and trying to do this all at the same time.
I know.
Totally understand.
So Holcomb, I think
I'm like,
Holcomb,
my phone in my hand, I'm refreshing it.
Yeah, Holcomb and Roberts both have 1 year left on their contracts, I believe. So, you could look at Peyton Wilson as a long-term, like a next year starter potentially. Right. But also, per Twitter, Peyton Wilson's fallen the draft because one of his knees does not have an ACL. Which, if that's true, his performance the last 2 years, he started all 12 games last year and put up some insane numbers. So there's that. But also Hines Ward played without an ACL. So
some guys in the old days used to do that too.
Yeah. But it at 98 to get a guy who was a unanimous first team All-American, first team All-Conference, Butkus Award winner, led the ACC in tackles. I know he's 24 years old. I know he's got an injury history. Yeah. But at the same time, like he did all between the combine and his pro day, he did all the testing. He did the shuttle, he did the 3-cone, he did the, he ran a 40. He ran a 4.440 at the combine, 4.43.
I guess the question though is,
so if he ran a 4.43 without an ACL, like
right, is there a player at a position of need that
Peyton Wilson is the pick.
I
don't hate it.
I don't hate it either. The production is unbelievable. Considering what he's dealt with. And again, it was a comp pick. This was kind of a bonus pick, if you will. And
this was the Kenny Pickett
pick. This was kind of a deal. It's a Kenny Pickett pick.
Yeah. Kenny Pickett pick.
It was the Kenny Pickett pick swap.
Yeah,
the pick swap from Philly.
And Landon Roberts, as
so
you alluded
what
to,
do we have in the
1 year left?
What we still have one in the fourth, right?
We have a fourth and 2
still have
6.
one pick in the fourth.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. A 4 and 2 6s.
Yes.
Yeah. So
we're not gonna jump on the podcast and talk during the.
No, there will not be a round 3 show.
This is it for the weekend.
This is it for us. Follow us on socials and all that stuff. But it has kind of come to a screeching halt here, Andrew. I don't blame you. I think Wilson. I'm excited to see what they think they're going to get out of him. Where to put him. And obviously, I think he'll be an excellent special teams option probably right away.
He's an insane athlete. Ian nailed on the head. If you can get a guy who's this talented at 90, you kind of have to like take a chance on whether or not he'll be able to perform.
Yeah.
The question is, can he stay healthy? He's got that injury history. You're like,
Yep.
So,
yep.
I don't know if they play a buck and a mac anymore, Dwight. I don't know if they play a true buck and a mac anymore. They used to.
Right.
You could say that Landon Roberts is the current buck, and the mac is whoever the fuck can stay healthy enough to play 1 week. What this pick definitely needs.
We do have Queen now. I mean, we did sign Patrick Queen.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, just Matt Miller at ESPN, had him ranked 48th overall.
Yeah.
Compares him to a Leighton Vander Esch, which there's far worse guys to be compared to. So,
Leighton Vander Esch, also another guy with injury history and tendency toward injuries.
Yeah, I'm good with this pick. I'm not like as giddy as I am over the first 3, but I still like it because if this guy stays healthy, he's going to produce.
Yeah.
Still really need a slot corner badly.
Yeah, that's where I'm mentally at. We need a slot corner very badly.
They can't just keep trotting guys in there that are quote unquote replacement level, as Ian put it before.
Yeah.
Type guys. Shannon Sullivan, God bless him for trying, but fuck, man, come on.
I hope they don't re-sign him.
No, that's.
I thought he signed someplace already, didn't he?
No, I have no idea.
Know.
Yeah. We are going to go ahead and get out of here because, it's been 3 hours and 10 minutes, and I think this is a marathon.
Somebody wanted to get on at like 8:00.
Hey, the people enjoyed it. No,
that's good. Thank you all for joining us.
Yeah,
Thanks
everybody for being here tonight. You're wonderful people. Go enjoy the rest of your Friday. And obviously no Casey Kasem tonight, so the pressure's on Ryan to do a wonderful, fantastic job. But enjoy the rest of the draft. And again, thanks everybody that was here. Check out the website, steelcityblitz.com. And we will see you again next Thursday. And hey, go Steelers.
Ravens suck. Fuckers.
Yeah, it's